Donald Trump has profited over $2 billion since he started his second term. Much of that money came from his crypto ventures and meme coins. If you were one of the million people that invested in Trump's crypto, you lost a combined $3 billion, which amounts to one of the biggest frauds in American political history. Let's talk about it.
Pushing crypto just days after it was revealed he made more than $1 billion from it last year, including more than $600 million alone from the crypto meme coin named after Trump.
I've become a big crypto guy only for one reason. If we don't have it, China's going to have it. I'm very much for crypto because it's not a question of a personal thing.
But it is personal for Trump. He has made massive profits from crypto. But some of his biggest supporters who invested in Trump's meme coin have gone broke, even as Trump is minting money. Out front now, Dan Alexander, senior editor at Forbes, who does extensive reporting on Trump and his finances. You know, and Dan, and part of this is that even when the coin loses value, even just the trade back and forth, right? Trump makes money off of that, whereas the person who's trading it and losing just loses. I know you've talked to several people, some of whom were Trump supporters. That's why they bought the meme coin, right? They believed in him, and they've lost a lot of money after investing in the meme coin. What did they tell you?
Well, you know, many of them are really disappointed right now. One of the funny things that they told me is that they went to these meme coin dinners or events. And at the first one, you know, it was outside of Washington, D.C. at his golf club in Virginia.
I remember that one.
And they said it was kind of like a wedding full of crypto bros. You know, and people were all just talking about crypto stuff, and it was random things were happening. You know, a billionaire gets on stage, is not Trump, and starts selling Trump watches. And Lamar Odom, the former basketball player, is walking around. And one guy says that the service is no good. He really wanted soda, and all he could get was water. So just sort of this funny mix up of like glamour and really not glamour. And then there's a second event that just happened in April at Mar-a-Lago. And at that one, they sort of worked out some of the wrinkles. They had shuttles taking everybody in, and they gave out goodie bags to the attendees. And a lot of people got really, really excited about these goodie bags because of what they contained in them. Some of them had Trump branded watches that people were really excited about. They also had bottles of cologne that were in like little mini golden Donald Trump statues. And people were so pumped about all this stuff that they started stealing each other's bags. Like somebody would stand up and another person would go under their chair, grab a bag, walk out. But the thing that is with these events, the point is just to get people excited about trading this stuff. And the more trades that happen, the more fees kick off to Donald Trump. He knows that, which is why, even though he's president, he's willing to take the time to do something like go to his golf club or to Mar-a-Lago and host all of his meme coin holders.
Interesting, in the grab bags, there were the little
Okay, here's the thing is that if you so Bitcoin, we already know it's like a bit of a Ponzi scheme. So the people who start the, you know, the crypto, they put their money down first, and then people see that they're making money. So people throw down their money, and then before everyone else realizes that the coin's worth a lot of money and they want to, you know, cash out, they cash out, and then that leaves whoever invested down the line, you know, holding the bag, and they don't get any money. So I heard of investors that, you know, put in $10,000 and now, you know, they only have $500 worth of coin. You know, we already know that crypto is sketchy, and then we already know that Donald Trump is sketchy. So if you invested in Trump crypto and you got ripped off, I don't know what to tell you, man.
fake gold statues of Trump. That's new information to me. Okay, so you talk about this, how he makes money on the trades, even as if the overall value goes down, right? And the people who bought it, they lost. So you then, Dan, went and dug into some other ventures. Melania's meme coin, as well as Don Jr. and Eric's crypto business, where some Trump fans have also lost huge. What did you find there?
Well, it's a consistent pattern across these ventures. And if you add them all up, the Trump family has cashed out at this point already like $1.9 billion. And they're up about $3.1 billion in terms of how much it's lifted their net worth. Meanwhile, their supporters collectively are down, we estimate, $7 billion. All of these things are structured so that then the Trumps do really, really well. And even if the assets collapse at the end, they're still left with a huge pile of money.
So here's the thing that I'm interested in is what happened here is clear as day. It's facts. It's in the numbers. Trump profited $3 billion. And if you invested in Trump's crypto or coins or whatever the fuck he had, all those people combined lost $7 billion. So the investors into Trump making $3 billion, they lost money, but Trump is profiting. I would like to hear MAGA's reaction to that and explain to me exactly what's going on here.
How does that happen where they lose, just giving this up on the screen, where the Trump family can make $3.1 billion while everyone else?
Like, we know what's going on here. It's fraud and it's bullshit. But what do MAGA people that put their money into this and people that, you know, still support the president, what is their answer to this? And I've been scouring the internet and I just can't find MAGA even talking about this shit.
Else that believed in them. They're obviously, most of these people are going to be core supporters, lose $7 billion.
It happens in a couple of different ways. The first is that Trump just sells a lot of this stuff out front. So for example, with the World Liberty Financial tokens, you know, they were selling this stuff for large amounts of money and collecting most of the proceeds of that right at the get-go. The other thing that's happened is that they've taken companies public, and those companies, when they're on the public exchanges, attract massive valuations. They've then used those huge valuations to dump more stock upon retail investors and then purchase other things, mostly Bitcoin, so that then as that ratio between sort of the underlying holdings and the myth that people have in their head closes, they're still left with a big pile of assets at the end, which means that they still end up because they invested hardly anything into these things at the outset, even though people who got in at the peak are way down.
Now, Trump has dismissed concerns that he's profiting off the presidency. And today he took it a step further with this brag about crypto corruption investigations.
They were putting people in jail. What they were doing to the crypto was horrible. It's amazing it survived that onslaught. It was a weaponization of government. So now I'm killing Biden. I'm winning.
I don't remember this woman's name. Left-hand side. She's like a crypto boss's, some financial guy's wife. Is that not the most terrifying face you've ever seen? Like, Trump's an ugly guy, right? And we've all met, you know, ugly people before, but is this woman not the ugliest person you've ever seen? Like, good Lord, she's terrifying. How the fuck do you get up in the morning and look at her face? Also, what would she look like without makeup on? Like, good Lord, what a terrifying individual.
By so much, and all of a sudden he becomes totally pro crypto. They dropped all investigations of everybody. They allowed people to come out of jail. And every time I see a crypto guy where they dropped an investigation, I said, "You're lucky I'm president."
He's bragging there about a lot of people who are tied to crypto, who he has already pardoned. He's only been in office for a year. Perhaps the biggest one is the founder of Binance, known as CZ. That company now is actually very involved in a lot of different things. One of the pieces of reporting over the last several months, according to the Journal and the New York Times, is that Binance still now looks like they've allowed money to go to Iran through their platforms. So the president is bragging about this turnabout when he's profiting, but also some of these people were put in prison for real reasons, and now they seem to not have changed their tune.
Well, I think the president has changed his tune on cryptocurrency, right? There's no doubt about that. He was very much against it, calling it a scam, and he has switched.
So if money was sent to Iran, for sure, the MAGA guy who hates Iran, wants to bomb it, who wants to, you know, get rid of the country, surely he's against Iran getting Bitcoin, right? He's totally going to address that, right?
Part of the context behind that is that he believes that not embracing cryptocurrency gives China a leg up on this. We can debate whether or not that's accurate. I think it's probably more accurate than not. But I think his comment, I didn't necessarily take it as bragging that we're releasing criminals from jail. I think it was more the allegation that the Biden administration was overtly tough on cryptocurrency when we didn't actually have very many standards or laws in place. We have the Clarity Act right now that we can have a large debate as to whether or not we have to put in place some more restrictions and oversight, which I think we absolutely do. But I think that was the context in the greater scheme of the conversation he was having today.
No, President Trump is very clear. He has benefited off crypto, 100%. And while we have seen that most Americans, 1 million Americans, have not, I was at the Justice Department when we brought the charges against Binance and the CEO. Not only did we bring charges, but they pled guilty. We were not weaponizing anything. They pled guilty to charges, including paying $4 billion. And exactly what Abby just described here about using the platform for potentially funding Iran is exactly what we were worried about, and exactly how they could not say how they were going to crack down on that. And there's also anti-money laundering allegations, et cetera. And so the problems that the
why is that MAGA guy Jason Rance? Why is he nodding along? He didn't mention any of that shit. He's just talking about how on board, how you know, how good everything's Trump, he's just justifying what Trump's doing.
Justice Department, the federal government felt that were not in the U.S. interest and that broke our federal laws are actually now playing out before Donald Trump's eyes because he is the one who pardoned them.
And I think also it's an incomplete story, that the whole China thing. This is from 2025 in the AP. Trump began to shift during a crypto event at Mar-a-Lago in Florida in May of 2024, receiving assurances that industry backers would spend lavishly to get him reelected. Another major milestone came last June when Trump attended a high-dollar fundraiser at the San Francisco home of David Sacks. Those close to Trump, including his sons and billionaire Elon Musk, helped further push his embrace of the industry. Sacks is now in the Trump administration as his crypto czar. And I also would add that some of these pardons that we were just talking about, the path to the pardon also involves money for Trump's political ambitions. So there's the private money that they're making hand over fist on crypto, and it's not like investing in crypto companies. It's literally meme coins, which are meaningless. And then there's also the political money at the same time as well.
I'm a big defender of the president.
I agree. It seems to me that most of the pardons, either most of the people that got pardoned literally donated money to the Republican Party or the Trump campaign, or they committed crimes that Donald Trump has committed or is planning to commit, so he pardoned them so he could be like, well, these people aren't in jail. So it's something stupid like that.
To pardon power, mostly because a lot of people don't realize there is essentially no lever. I mean, you probably know very well. There's no lever at the federal level to, serve as a check on overzealous prosecutions. But he makes it very difficult to defend. And I understand why a lot of people want reform. I mean, just about crypto broadly, according to his most recent financial report, he's executed about 4,000 trades in 3 months, including with companies that really want to stay in his good graces. I don't understand how that couldn't be a conflict of interest.
I mean, how is it not, Pete?
Look, I'm going to be very clear where I stand on crypto. I've said it here before, but being pro-crypto is being anti-American. If we are in competition with China, we should stay as far away from crypto as possible. If we want our currency, the US dollar, to remain the reserve currency of the world, we need to get out of crypto. If we want to maintain sanction power, we need to get out of crypto. As we've been talking about, terrorists, criminals, what do? They use crypto. That's how they operate. Why would we want anyone to be a part of this? And I feel sorry for none of these million people who lost money. They felt.
Agreed. I don't feel sorry for anybody that lost their money. But at the same time, this guy saying that we shouldn't be involved in crypto at all is something. I couldn't disagree more. We need to know what crypto is. We know how to regulate it. We need to know how to use it. But the president of the United States making his own crypto coins and selling them and pulling the rug out from investors, that we definitely shouldn't do. But being out of the crypto game entirely, that's a bizarre take.
For a scam. Crypto is a scam from top to bottom.
So,
the way it works is the people who buy the crypto realize it's a scam and then say, crap, I need to tell everyone to get in so I can make my money back. And
are
those
you
suckers
acknowledging that this is a scam?
Yes.
That was predicated by the president
of the United States? It's a scam predicated by a lot of people who get into this business.
The number one.
Say that Trump did a scam. This is what we're talking about. MAGA will never invent when Trump fucks up. He fucked up. He's scamming people. Admit it right now.
And they decided to get in because you make a boatload of money on the transaction side of it.
Yeah, that's the president and his family.
Yeah, and they made money. As Jason acknowledged, they made money.
I'm just
There's
wondering,
no denying or dismissing
what's the next step from that? So the president and his family scammed 1 million people and profited.
And put this country in a worse position as a result of it.
$600 billion, not including.
You're so close, bud. You are so close.
Not including the amount that they have earned from the sale of their crypto company, which was really only created knowing that this presidency was coming up. What's the recourse then? What do you think it should be?
Well, the recourse is, if Congress feels there should be a recourse, then they should put some laws into place. We should have regulations.
That's bullshit. You know damn well Congress isn't going to do shit to go against Donald Trump. That's a bullshit answer.
In place. We don't actually know what crypto is right now. Is it a currency? Is it a security? Is it a commodity? Is it a collectible? And if you don't know what it is, why are you investing in it in any way, shape, or form? So the government needs to figure that out.
I think there might be a generational divide on crypto. I have a lot of people in my friend group that are much more comfortable with it. I think that we can have conversations about Clarity Act and regulating it. I don't think we should just delete it just because the president doesn't know how to operate.
I can't lie. These CNN paddles have been fire, to say the least. Okay, so let's start it out. First things first. if you're a MAGA supporter and you invested in anything that Trump put out in front of you, meme coins, shoes, watches, whatever, you're a fucking idiot and you deserve to get ripped off. I'm sorry that happened. No, I'm not. You deserve to get ripped off. You're an idiot. Thanks for voting for Trump and making all this shit happening right now. Fuck you. Next, the first MAGA guy was saying that, see, the context of Trump ripping off millions of people is that China's dangerous. There is no context in which Trump ripping off his own voters and supporters, people that love him, to wipe his ass for him. There's no context in which that's okay. Next, the other MAGA guy, like he just comes out and says crypto's a fraud. What happened here is a fraud. Whoever invested in this crypto is an idiot. Bro, he was so close. He was so close. All you needed to say was that Trump committed fraud right here, but he couldn't say it. He couldn't put the Trump and something that was illegal and wrong together. He has to like kind of like tacitly like link them together, but you can't just say that Trump committed fraud. Like, this is why we say that you're in a cult. You had an opportunity right there to say that Trump committed fraud, but you failed to do so because you're a political hack, my friend. Political hack is what you are. Thanks for bringing another political hack to light, CNN. This was a great conversation. Stop investing in Trump's bullshit. Stop giving him your money. He's rich and he doesn't care about you. MAGA, wake the fuck up, man. And also, if anybody from MAGA is watching this video, will you please explain to me why it's okay that Trump ripped off millions of people and you still support the guy? I know why. But I would like for you to explain to me why. I think it's because they're racist. Anyway, so yeah, interesting conversation from CNN. Keep bringing the heat before Larry Ellison takes over. And whenever there's a good panel like this, I'll be sure to bring it to you guys. If you guys want to see it, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Like, if you needed an ally to help you in a conflict, or if you needed a country in which to stage a fight with some other country, Russia would be like the best. Russia just won. They beat us in their war. Russia outproduced in munitions NATO, including the United States, 4-1. So we just lost the war.
Recently, no.
I've been there twice. I've been there twice in the last year.
Why are you allowed in?
I don't know. I'm an American.
Friend of Putin. That's
whatever.
Friend of Putin.
Because
coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway. Radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
Tucker Carlson was the MAGA propaganda mouthpiece on Fox News every night at 5 p.m., just towing the MAGA line, spouting out lies, so many lies that he actually got fired for claiming that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. Now Tucker Carlson is rudderless, running his own podcast, and trying to find his lane. It seems his lane is that of a Russian asset, a Russian stooge, if you will. Let's talk about it.
Tucker, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying I'm disagreeing that it's a fact that the military there is spending weapons that they very much need to Mexican cartels. This is not documented stuff, and it seems to want to smear Ukraine and make them the bad guy.
It's not a matter of smearing Ukraine. Okay, this is one of those topics that I'm just gonna. I'm
not mad at you.
No. I'm mad because I know this is true.
Then why hasn't it been documented?
I'm just telling you that if this will be documented, and I got that directly, once again, from someone who purchased quite a few of those weapons, who I know personally, and it's just frustrating because I can't say beyond that.
Look, my point is not to frustrate you, Tucker. It's to understand
let
this
me
mentality
ask you
of
this.
framing Ukraine.
It's not a mentality. I'm not even blaming Zelensky directly. I'm saying this is the largest country in Europe. We have poured billions of dollars in pretty high-tech weapons systems into this country, and we're not keeping track of them.
So do you believe that we should just back out of what we're doing there now and let Russia take it?
Russia take it? I don't know. At this point,
We're
not in charge. Russia just won. They beat us in their war. In case you haven't noticed, Russia outproduced in munitions NATO, including the United States, 4-1. So we just lost the war. So we are not negotiating from a position of strength. Sorry. I'm not taking Russia's side. I'm on America's side. This is terrible for us. We've exposed how weak we are.
See, I saw it the other way, which is we thought Russia was going to roll over Ukraine, and they have been unable to.
They
really
rolled
move the
over
line.
us. They took a big chunk of eastern Ukraine, and for 3 years we've progressed toward bankruptcy, trying to stop it, and we've not been able to. They won. This is bad. It's divided our country. All these dumb Ukraine people are flying foreign flags in front of their houses.
I feel that the division is forced in this country. That, to me, it seems pretty basic that Russia can't have Ukraine because it doesn't
we
stop
can't. What are we going to do?
It doesn't stop it.
We already, but okay. But at some point,
he wants Russia to take Ukraine. I think that's pretty obvious here.
Estonia and Latvia.
This Estonia, you know, it's always some chick, that blonde chick. I'm president of Estonia, you know, a country of 5 million people that invented the sauna. By the way,
that's his sexism right there.
I'm part Finnish. I'm not against Estonia. I'm sure it's great, but the idea that some woman who's never been in the armed service, like setting military policy for the EU, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to. You can't do anything. You don't have an army. We have a nuclear-armed power, largest nuclear arsenal in the world that is fighting for its very life, that is aligned with China, okay, which is the largest economy in the world.
I don't know that Russia's fighting for its life. I think Putin forced this situation.
Okay, whatever.
Russia invaded Ukraine. To say that Russia's fighting for its life against Ukraine is absurd. Yeah, Russia is fighting for its life, but only due to them starting a war with Ukraine.
Leaving aside moral culpability, I'm just saying it's a big deal for them. It's on their border. It's their border, okay? So now what are our options? Like, actually, what are our options?
The options are what President Trump is doing right now, which is to try to get the parties to the table and draw a line in the sand and make a deal, right?
That's the only option I see. I don't see any other options, but maybe I'd love to hear what they are.
No, I mean, there's never any other option unless you want to actively fight and take territory and occupy.
Who's going to actively fight? There are no Ukrainians left.
Well, look, both sides are manpower poor, right? You know the stories about Russia emptying the prisons.
Russia has 100 million
140 million people. But
100 million more people.
But have you ever heard of us emptying out the prisons? I mean, why does he have to do that? He's in a desperate
Because
place.
he doesn't want his citizens to have to fight an unpopular war because he's worried about his popularity.
What? Imagine us emptying out our prisons and then we send all these guys to boot camp and then we give them weapons and tell them to go fight a war. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? What if one of those people didn't go off to Ukraine and killed a bunch of people? Like, the idea that that's even a thing and he's defending it is just breaking my brain. Good Lord.
Because he wants to stay in power.
You think Putin is concerned about his popularity in a place where he kills all of his opponents on a regular basis?
Putin is very concerned about his popularity.
Really? When he completely engineers the...
Putin cares about his popularity? Are you fucking kidding me? Doesn't he win the vote like 90% every election for the last 50 years? My God.
The outcome of everything that happens.
Russia is a very complicated place with a lot of different competing power centers, including the FSB, which
then how has he stayed in power so long?
Because he's really good at politics and he pays very close attention to what the public thinks.
You know how lousy life is there for people, right? And not just because of the economic sanctions right now. It just has been. I mean, you know.
Have you been there recently?
Recently, no.
I've been there twice. I've been there twice in the last year.
Why are you allowed in?
I don't know. I'm an American.
Friend of Putin.
I'm whatever.
Friend of Putin.
Because I believe in seeing things and reaching my own conclusions.
Oh, me too. I'm not allowed in there as a journalist.
I'm sure you could call right now and they would let you in, and you should go.
They just wouldn't let me out. Wind up like Paul Whelan.
I think
and you wouldn't be arguing my case.
But look, here's the point. Putin does not have absolute control of his country, and there are all kinds of potential rivals. He's been there for 20 years.
sound more sympathetic towards him than towards Zelensky.
I'm definitely more sympathetic to Putin than Zelensky for the following reason. I'm not sympathetic to Putin in the sense that I don't want to move to Russia. I don't see Russia as like a close friend of mine at all, or a free country or anything like that. I'm just saying
I got a video of Tucker saying that Russia should be our friend. We'll share that in a little bit here.
I think it's fair to judge leaders on how they do for their country. They have one job. Do a good job for your country. Make it better. And
you think Russia's doing well?
Oh, a lot better than Ukraine. I mean, a lot of Ukrainians have fled Ukraine to Russia. A lot.
Well, yeah, they're under siege right now.
No, but I'm just saying, like, Russia actually, for a country at war, is thriving.
You think that's true for Russia, that they don't look really weak because they couldn't roll over Ukraine?
Russia's nuclear weapons. It is hypersonic weapons. Russia could eliminate Ukraine in about 10 seconds. By the way, anybody
But they didn't. But they didn't. And they haven't.
Avoid a nuclear exchange, I'm on your side.
Yes.
And that would include almost no Republican members of the Senate, okay? They're all like full-blown. They're old. They don't care. I guess they don't care about their grandkids or humanity itself or whatever. They're totally willing to risk nuclear war.
Although Lindsey Graham just took a step backwards, which I thought was surprising.
It's completely silly. He's blaming... Look, a lot's going to come out. We reached an impasse on the question of whether Ukraine is selling weapons. They are.
It's not a debate. I'm just saying that it seems that
but let me
the
just
line
say,
has shifted and now Ukraine is the bad guy.
Okay, we haven't heard anything about Ukraine for the past 3 years. You were required, and I got fired over this, so I know. You were required to pretend that Zelensky, who I think is a complicated person, for whom I feel sorry, actually.
That's not why Tucker got fired. Come on, man. Tucker, you know why you got fired, bro. It's because of the 2020 election stuff. You're trying to say that the election was stolen from Donald Trump. That's why you got fired. Smartmatic lawsuit. That's why you got fired, bud. It's not over your takes on Ukraine.
I feel like he's a pawn among bigger powers, okay? I feel bad for Zelensky, but we were required to pretend that he was Jesus and that Vladimir Putin was Satan. And my only point is that's not true, actually. It's way more complicated than that. Both of them have good and bad qualities. And moreover, it's not our fight. Like, what are we doing there?
I was told my whole life that Russia is the enemy. In the 80s and 90s, communism, like in school, we're constantly taught that Russia is the enemy. And now here we are with an opportunity to take down the enemy, and the American government and Republicans are just like, you know, what are we going to do? You know, America first, but here's a bunch of money for Israel. It's very strange, and it just comes back to Russian propaganda. Russian propaganda is strong. It's very strong. In fact, even the president of the United States fell for it. Remember when Trump first got elected and he had that private meeting with Putin, and he comes out of it and he's like, hey, yeah, nothing wrong with Russia here. You know, even though his own intelligence officials were saying, hey, there's something going on. Trump comes out and he goes, yeah, everything's fine. Putin can be trusted. The propaganda coming out of Russia is real. And if you're an idiot, you're going to fall for it. Just like Tucker Carlson. Remember when he went to that grocery store in Russia? What a weird video. Take a look.
So a long-standing feature, maybe the longest-standing feature of Cold War propaganda in the West was the Soviet grocery store. No products, no choices, shoddily made things. And it wasn't actually propaganda, it was real. And you can look up the pictures on the internet if you want. So we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a contemporary, modern-day, 2024 Russian grocery store 2 years into sanctions. Here we go. All right, there we go. So I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart back. So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it and not just bring it to your homeless encampment.
First of all, that cart looks like shit. That lock on it looks like shit. What a weird dig. He's such a weird guy.
Okay, this is the grocery cart escalator. This is designed, I'm figuring this out now, where the wheels don't move, they lock on the grocery cart escalator. Look.
My grocery store in San Diego has a cart ramp. The wheels lock so it doesn't roll back down or so that it doesn't roll forward. Like it's not like something, dude.
Come on, no hands. Retail placement here is a little bit different. So it's like walking through Macy's to get to Whole Foods. Okay, we've gotten through the perfume
That would be horrible.
section to get to the grocery store. So we're
That would be horrible. The grocery store is already big enough as it is. Like you got to walk through a department store to get to the grocery store. What if you just got to go in and get some milk? You got to go through the department store and go to the back to get the milk? Fucking weirdo.
going to try and buy what a family of four would buy every week, and we're going to see what the selection is, and we're going to see what it costs. Now, Russia is famous for its bread, which is one thing I can assess pretty well. The low-carb lifestyle has not swept Russia. Thank heaven, because I mean, look at that. It's fresh, too. Look at that. Oh, come on. Unicorn and mini mills.
Every fucking grocery store in the United States has fresh bread. What the hell is this?
All right. Some kind of Russian wheat cookies. Ooh, we need coffee, don't we? Yeah. I don't know if this is sugar or flour, to be honest with you, but it looks like a staple, so we should get it. It's a very good-looking package. It's got to be flour, right? And this is Russian wine. It's from Crimea, which not only has the warm water naval base, but also is the source of most of the grapes.
Are you talking about that part of Ukraine that Russia illegally annexed 10 years ago? Crimea? And actually, Russia is on the verge of losing it as we speak right now. Is that what you're talking about? Like being proud of something that came from Crimea, something that you stole from Crimea.
In this part of Russia for wine. So it's apparently pretty good. Cheese puffs. You check out of a grocery store and you've got gum, razor blades, and candy. Actually, they hide the razor blades because we steal them. But these are all seem to be Western products. Mars, Twix, Snickers, Milky Way, Bounty.
What fucking store has razor blades in the front of the store? And those prices, very, very interesting. For the big Gillette 5, it's 25, almost 2,600 rubles. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Pretty sure it's little.
Gillette, Paul's cough drops, Mentos. It's pretty non-sanctioned to me, but what do I know? I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States, buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
If Tucker didn't get paid by the Russian government for this weird propaganda video, then he's fucking up, because they would have given him a whole bunch of rubles for that. This is so ridiculous that even Chris Cuomo made fun of Tucker for this. Take a look.
But you make it easy for them. You show up in Moscow, you say, this is the best place I've ever been in my life. The city is better than anywhere in America.
It is.
Get out of here. On what basis?
It's so much better. On the basis that I described.
There are people making like no money. That's why the prices are cheap.
Yeah. Well, actually, look, I'm no expert on the Russian economy. I can only tell you what I saw, which is a city of 13 million people, much larger than any city we have. Hard to govern a city like that. And there is, no homelessness, no graffiti. It's spotlessly clean. The public spaces are beautiful.
The dude is claiming that Russia solved home of America first. Got it, comrade. What else you got?
I think in the West, we imagine that President Putin is the most radical person in Russia. I think he's been a force for restraint, but that may not be possible for much longer. So I believe everything that you're saying. I don't understand why European leaders would want to have a war with Russia. What is this?
Of Steinmeier, who was just resigned today, basically, as we speak. These people is most unpopular in their countries.
Yes.
Think of the European bureaucracy in Brussels. So for them, the war is maybe only way to cling to the power, to stay at power, to keep up. All these leaders, since their early teens, they become students, they've been paid to study in the universities, then they become activists, then they become politicians, and finally, they become leaders of their.
Tucker is suggesting that Putin is a force of restraint in Europe. The guy that invaded a sovereign country is using restraint. Fuck you, Tucker. That's bullshit. You're smart enough to know that that's bullshit. Also, now they're saying that all the European leaders got indoctrinated in American colleges, which were funded by George Soros. That's more that conspiracy brain bullshit that Tucker and Donald Trump their brains are fried by conspiracies. Complete bullshit. If that's not enough to show you that Tucker's a Russian puppet, I don't know what else to show you. Like, that's clip after clip of Tucker Carlson defending Vladimir Putin, the Russian Empire, and degrading Ukraine, an ally of ours that is helping us against one of our greatest enemies, which I thought was one of our greatest enemies, which is Russia. But now it's China. Like, it's very confusing to say the least. The whole point of me making this video is a lot of this stuff is like kind of old, but people are kind of forgetting what Tucker Carlson is. He's the MAGA propaganda mouthpiece for years. He's the reason why we're in the mess that we're in right now. He helped Donald Trump get elected both times. He's a big reason why Donald Trump is president. And now that he got kicked out of Fox News, he got kicked out of MAGA, he's no longer tight with Trump. Apparently, I don't know if I even believe that. Now he's looking for his own lane. And his lane is, first of all, simping for Russia. Nextly, he's anti-Israel, which he was always so pro-Israel, like annoyingly pro-Israel. So now the fact that he's so anti-Israel is fascinating, to say the least. But just remember, Tucker Carlson, I've been hearing a lot of people saying that this guy's going to run for president. Hell no. You can't trust one word this white Christian nationalist says. He's still racist. He's still sexist. He's still a groveling piece of shit. And he's also now a Russian asset, which I just proved. So be wary of Tucker Carlson, because that is a wolf trying to wear sheep's clothing. But we're smart enough, America, to fall for Tucker Carlson's propaganda and bullshit. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
Because that was the time Trump had stopped. So I'm just standing there and I'm kind of smushed against the wall. All of a sudden, doors open from the inside. I was swept into the building. And then a little bit later, I give my speech again. And then an officer taps me on my shoulder and says I have to move along. And I'm startled. I look at him and then I move along. And then I exit the building. 12 days later, I'm in my apartment working. FBI, FBI, FBI. So loud that I immediately thought, well, it can't possibly be the FBI because this must be a Colombia cartel coming to murder me. I was literally walking through crowds and gave a speech. I understood trespass. I understood parading. Then we could talk about selective prosecution, like why are you prosecuting me and not everybody from the Summer of Love? That I will never know if it was personal or just his beliefs on J 6th.
We haven't seen Jordan Peterson in quite some time. This interview that I'm sharing with you guys right now was done in 2025. It's now July of 2026, and we still haven't heard from Jordan Peterson. His daughter says that he's depressed, took too much Xanax, and has COVID or something like that. It honestly doesn't matter. So anyway, he did this interview right after Donald Trump pardoned all the insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol in January 6th. And one of those people is Simone Gold. She is a doctor. She's known for her anti-vax position. And she spoke at the Capitol, and she also went into the building and was charged. And this is her story.
There's still places we haven't gone, and I'd like to hear about January 6th as well, because there's a huge story there that we haven't even delved into. So is it reasonable to leap to that?
Pretty much.
Okay, let's do that then.
Yeah. Okay. So in the middle of all these lawsuits, I have this burning passion for 2 to 3 years just to keep speaking publicly. And one of those days of speaking publicly happened to be January 6th in Washington, D.C. My perspective was it was another speaking engagement. I spoke January 5th in Washington, D.C. I spoke January 3rd in Florida, January 10th in Florida. But the 5th and 6th, I was scheduled in Washington, D.C.
Where were you supposed to speak?
January 5th, no problem, Freedom Plaza. January 6th, scheduled to speak on the east side of the Capitol with a permit. There you go. With a permit. People don't know that. So I was there to speak. When Who
were you speaking with or to?
I don't know who organized it. I had a team at that point, and there were about 20 speakers, including incoming Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar, another representative. It was a pretty high-profile speaking opportunity. People were, of course, speaking about their concerns that the election was stolen. But my lane.
I don't know who organized the event that I was speaking at on January 6th. It was just, my people set it up for me. And there was a bunch of other speakers, so I don't know who organized it.
Was to speak about medical freedom. I had a prepared medical freedom speech that I did the day before, no problem, Freedom Plaza. And I was intending to do the same thing on January 6th, the east side of the Capitol building. It's called Section 8, and I had a permit. And when we, speakers, presented ourselves at the location, we were told by whoever was there that we couldn't speak. Now,
that you couldn't speak.
Who told you that you couldn't speak? You can't just say we were told we couldn't speak. And literally that whole thing, hey, I don't even know who it was, but they said we couldn't speak. That's bullshit. You're lying.
They wouldn't allow, there was a stage set up, but they weren't allowing anybody to speak. Everyone asks me why. I don't know. Still don't know. I think because the crowds were so large. I don't know. If you have a large crowd, it seems to me you ought to let people speak. So there's a positive energy source for the crowd to pay attention to. But for whatever reason, they would not let the speakers speak. So I was there on the Capitol, basically ready to give a speech. So I said, well, I'm speaking. And so I scampered up to the top of the steps and I started speaking, but I have 0 microphones or anything. And of course, within a minute or two, I stop because no one can hear me. There's a lot of people and I'm standing at the top of the Capitol steps And people are pouring in by the second because Trump had finished speaking and everyone was walking over. And I'm telling you, every minute had another 1,000 people showing up there because that was the time Trump had stopped. And so I'm just standing there and I'm kind of smushed against the wall. And all of a sudden, the doors opened from the inside. And I was swept into the building. This is all on video. I can't imagine what they would say about me if there was no video. Because you can actually see on the video that I kind of tumble and I almost fall into the building because there's a surge behind me. And I find myself in the Capitol. And it's hard to remember what life was like before J6, but we have a long history in our nation of political protests. Now, when conservatives landed in the Capitol, standing there, everywhere I was very peaceful, completely peaceful. I find myself in the rotunda. It's beautiful. And I'm walking between the ropes, and I'm looking up here because it turns out there was video everywhere. I didn't know. And you can see me walking peacefully in between the ropes, looking around, and I've got my speech in my hand. And I think to myself, it is a fine idea that I should give my speech because this is a political day and let's give a speech. And there's a lot of people here. So I give my speech, and that is also seen on video. And it's kind of funny when I'm thinking back on it, but that was my mission. And then a little bit later, I give my speech again. And then an officer taps me on my shoulder and says I have to move along. And I'm startled, I look at him, and then I move along. And then I exit the building. And that was my sojourn into the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. And I had no idea what was being said about the day. As an eyewitness, on the east side of the Capitol, no violence, kumbaya, literally grandmas singing kumbaya, moms with strollers. And that's what it was. It was very large. It seemed more like the energy of a sporting event or a concert, large. And that was it. And then we leave and we got dinner and I didn't have any news on it.
Did you think anything of it after that?
No. So I didn't. And I was in DC another day and I'm always working and I'm just typing away and people are saying it's something. And I'm like, no, it was nothing. And I'm just typing and I meet friends that night for dinner. And the friends are very, very, very alarmed when I said we were at the Capitol. And they say, oh my God, it was an insurrection. It was an insurrection. I'm like, and I start laughing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just thought, I was like, no, I was there. Like, no, what are you talking about? And they were very, very worried for me. And I'm sitting at dinner and I get a message on my phone. And there's a picture of me on the FBI's most wanted list with my picture.
That's a problem.
And I look at it.
Wow.
And my first reaction was, well, this was Photoshopped. This is like a joke.
Right.
I mean, I still can't believe it. You can. I'm like, I'm on the FBI's most wanted list. Like,
wow.
It was, and so they have a picture of me. Somebody handed me a megaphone, and I was giving my speech, and that was the picture of me on the FBI's most wanted list. And I was like, no, and I just couldn't believe it. And then the next day, I started getting a little bit worried. But I went off 4 days later, and I gave another speech in Florida. And I went back years later, and I watched that speech, and I never even mentioned January 6th, just to give you perspective that I didn't think. And then 12 days later, I'm in my apartment working. And the most horrific, loudest, I can't do it justice, scream banging on the door, FBI, 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 so loud that I immediately thought, well, it can't possibly be the FBI because this must be a Colombia cartel coming to murder me.
Holy shit, this lady is fucking insane. Who hears knocking on their door and thinks to themselves, oh, this is a Colombia cartel? A psychopath thinks that. Nobody fucking thinks that. And to suggest that that you didn't know that there was an insurrection going on January 6th, even though you entered the building, is complete bullshit. This woman is a complete bullshit liar, piece of shit. Also, I could see that fucking David Jew star hanging out. Why do all Jews think that they have to wear that necklace out in the open in public? You could just wear the necklace, God could see it or whatever, and it just works like that. Like, you don't have to have it out visible to humans because it's there for fucking God, right? Or Jesus or whatever Jews think. This woman is so full of shit. She is lying about everything. It's just absolutely absurd. Also, like, whatever she's complaining about right now, she was sentenced to 60 days in jail and a $10,000 fine. How much of that 60 days you think she served? Half? Less than half? And then she got a pardon afterwards anyways. So right now, her life is completely whole and it's almost like January 6th never even happened because of the pardon that she got from Trump. This lady is full of shit. Good Lord. Of course, Jordan Peterson's talking to her because he's also full of shit.
Of course, this couldn't be the FBI. Like, I remember thinking, couldn't possibly be the FBI. Like,
dude, you were part of the FBI most wanted list. Like, you were hiding. When you saw yourself on that list, why didn't you think, oh, maybe I should turn myself in?
They would have called me. Like, and they're screaming. And I'm looking at the person I'm working with. I'm like, is that real? And he says, no, that's not real. I mean, it just couldn't process it. About 30, 40 seconds go by, and I stand up, and I turn to kind of come, and they break the door down with a battering ram.
This is at your home?
Yep, 2-bedroom apartment, and battering ram, 20 guys in tactical gear, bulletproof.
Why didn't you answer the door? Like that's interesting too.
Bulletproof vest.
Like Jordan is just very not curious about the questions that need to be asked here.
And tactical gear, huge weapons pointed at me, the laser sight beams, as close as I am to you. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, that's weird. And you asked me if I panic. And I remember thinking, oh. And I got really calm. And as soon as I realized that, before that, he had said to me, turn around, like screaming. And I was disoriented. And I took a step forward.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought later, he definitely could have been justifiable homicide. I
Right.
looked like I was, and then I saw the sight beams. I'm like, and I got really calm and I was fine. And I put this, and they are coming to arrest me.
So the emergency room training came in handy then.
Oh, and you know what else kicked in there about the ER? So they're taking us off in handcuffs and shackles. It was crazy. And I said, I was very calm. I said, hey, you took my phone, you took computers, you took everything. Could I take some cash with me? Because at some point you're going to release me and I'm going to need a way home.
Yeah.
Nope, can't do that. I'm like, okay. I say that not incidentally. So they whisk us off. We go to jail, perp walk in front of the neighbors, handcuffs, shackles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the point of the theater.
And you
the
deserved
theater
it.
is, I think the whole thing
'Cause
was
you're a traitor,
to
bitch.
intimidate and scare me and others.
Did it work?
It backfires, is what it does. Oh, at the time, yes, but now I don't think there's anything I'm afraid of now. I mean, if you had said to me beforehand, would you be afraid of being in prison? Would you be afraid of being
This is what I'm talking about. Like Trump pardoned these people, and she literally just said it. Now I'm not afraid of anything. I'm allies with the fucking most powerful person on the world. Sick shit, man.
isolation? What is worse? What is worse than that? And now I'm like, I don't like it. It's unpleasant, but okay. Like you can't scare me with it. Like it could probably still scare you with that. You can't scare me with that. Like it's terrible, granted, but okay. So no, it totally backfires on people like me. I mean, it's literally it's a foolish move if you're trying to silence people like me. It's just backfires. Now they don't know ahead of time who's strong and who's not strong. But handcuffed, shackled, walking right, good in front of the neighbors, doors, broken. I happen to have had a gun in the house. They asked me where it was. I told them where it was. We get taken off, etc. All this stuff. I mentioned just 2 small things because they're trying to be as dehumanizing as possible. One is when they release me, I go from being like this hardened criminal to being released in a matter of 1 minute, basically. The judge is like, you can be released, and then they have shackles off, and they literally kick me out.
That's how fucking bail and bond works, dude.
On the street, downtown Los Angeles. I have no shoes because they didn't let me take shoes. And I said, how am
Bullshit.
I going to get home? And the officer says, you should have thought of that. And I just got so snippy. I said, I am an ER doctor. I know exactly what it's like to show up
Yeah, you could have turned yourself in. You didn't have to wait for them to come to your door.
somewhere unprepared, and I wasn't going to, and I wanted to bring money. You didn't let me. How am I going to get home? I had no way. I had no phone. No, it was insane.
Wow.
So I'm just sharing that it's done to break you. And the other thing that they did that was very effective, they took all of our computers and phones.
Yeah.
And so my piece of advice for anyone listening is have backups and not to worry too much about what you're writing, assuming you're doing lawful activities. Just have lots of backups everywhere.
Right. Okay, now you went to trial for this.
Yes. So this is very funny. You will enjoy this story. So there's no right to a speedy trial, even though that's in our Constitution. They delayed until the government was ready to go, and then my judge couldn't have been faster. So I found out I had been charged.
Where were you tried?
All J6 defendants were being tried in the District of Columbia.
Nobody,
Nobody, that was intentional. And none of us are from the District of Columbia.
It's where you committed the crime. I don't know. Is this bitch dumb? And is Jordan Peterson dumb? Because she keeps on saying these things and insinuating things about the justice system that anybody with even a little bit of knowledge of the American justice system knows that her framing of things is very weird and strange.
And the District of Columbia voted 96% for Biden. And this was a political issue. So it's not, and it's a company town. The largest employer, I think 30% of people, or 20 or 30% of people that live in DC work for the federal government. So by definition, it's a company town, plus it's a political trial. So not moving was really unfair to J6 defendants. So I had every intention of fighting and pleading not guilty until I saw the charges. So the charges included a bizarre 1512C2 felony that's 20-year felony. It's bizarre. It's an accounting kind of firm. Remember the Enron scandal? The theory was that Arthur Andersen, their accounting firm, shredded documents. So to close that loophole, it's called closing the Arthur Andersen loophole. Somebody 20 years ago came up with this 1512C2 statute, which is witness tampering and evidence shredding. That is what they charged me and hundreds of J6ers with. You might ask why? Because it's wholly irrelevant, has nothing to do with us. 20 years. That was why. This is how they got J6ers to take a plea.
I see.
They said,
so that was the biggest club they could wield.
And we had and I'm a lawyer too, and I'm looking at this and said, what does this 1512 witness tampering and evidence shredding statute have to do with me? I was literally walking through crowds and gave a speech. I understood trespass. I understood parading. Then we could talk about selective prosecution, like why are you prosecuting me and not everybody from the Summer of Love?
Conservatives don't get to protest. That's really the rule.
But this was weird. This 20-year felony was weird. It had no relation at all to us. And I couldn't, it was 20-year penalty. So this is how they got virtually everybody to roll over. They were very, very eager for J6ers to just take a plea. So the narrative is, oh, we all pled guilty. It was just a terrible thing. So when I discovered it was a 20-year felony, I did take the plea. I couldn't afford a felony as a doctor and a lawyer. There was no way I could keep my life. I mean, as a practical matter, I would have lost my licenses. And I had an organization to run. I couldn't be put away for years. It was out of the question. And
okay, Jesus Christ, this woman is like a shocking liar. So she was actually charged with entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds. As part of the plea agreement, additional charges of obstruction an official was dropped. So she got charged with remaining in a restricted building. So what this woman is talking about right now, I have no fucking idea, dude. We kind of lightly dated. This woman just can't tell the truth about anything. She just has to bullshit everything.
we had nothing negative really, but he should have recused himself.
Right.
Because the standard for recusal is not just conflict. It's the appearance of impropriety. It's not.
It's so unfair. The judge was so unfair.
Right. It's the appearance of impropriety. I mentioned this little interesting aside because the District of Columbia judges, almost to a man, are so smug that they don't even think they're going to be overruled if you've been to school and dated a defendant. They're like, oh, no, that's no problem. And I am sad as a lawyer to know that's the standard.
Yeah.
So the appearance of impropriety, which of course this is, and I bring it up because when I stood before him, I felt this heat of hatred and anger emanating from him. All the other hearings every month were on Zoom. But for sentencing, I had to show up in person. And there was so much hatred from him towards me that I will never know if it was personal.
And the victim complex on this bitch is insane. I don't know if I've ever really seen anything quite like it.
Or just his beliefs on J6th. And he should never have been in that situation. That is why judges who have an appearance of impropriety are to recuse themselves.
Right.
And I just want everyone to be cognizant of how the infrastructure of fascism is kind of already there in America. No one's checking him. Anyone responsible would have said, get off this case. It's crazy. There's other judges. He didn't. So that exists. Anyway, he sentences me to 60 days, which was insanely harsh. And then the Bureau of Prison puts their thumb on the scale, and instead of sending me to a camp, they send me to a maximum.
Really?
Yeah. So you ask me.
So you got 60 days in prison for a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a complete load of bullshit. I mean, my God, this lady lays it on thick, man. So I don't know. I can't find how long she actually went to jail for, but 60 days, for what you did isn't that bad. And I would assume the majority of what her story, she's leaving a lot of stuff out. She's an anti-vax leader. So whatever she was saying at the Capitol was, I'm sure it was angry, anti-vax, COVID type rhetoric, which is interesting because Donald Trump was president during COVID and he put, he made the vaccine, all of that. So being anti-vax and pro-Trump are two things that conflict with each other, to say the least. But honestly, if it makes you guys feel any better, this woman also, in addition to catching a felony, in addition to going to jail, prison, she spent some time in prison, and she also got her law license in New York suspended as well. So she did face some pretty serious repercussions for a few years there, but then she got the pardon, and I guess it's almost like it didn't happen. Honestly, people like her, I know that they feel emboldened now that they got them pardoned, which she even says. She says she's not afraid of anything anymore. So she's probably going to commit more crimes, and she's going to end up back in prison again. Almost certainly. It's like a 50-50 chance on that one. And she said some funny things here. Like when she said with the FBI, she was on the FBI most wanted list, and she still went and did anti-vax, speeches in Florida. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 12 days later, they broke into my house. And she said she thought it was the Colombian cartel there to murder her. That's an insane take. She also said that she didn't choose to go into the Capitol, that she was pushed in by a wave of people. She didn't actually mean to go in there, but it was also very nice in there. And I don't understand why a cop would ask me to leave. And also she said that she kind of dated the judge that sentenced her. So that means he has to recuse himself. I guess if you guys did date, that would be the case. But the way you said we kind of dated in school, that doesn't work for me. And she didn't understand why he doesn't like her. It's because you tried to overturn an election. That's why he doesn't like you. So this is just classic victim complex mentality that MAGA has, and it's just rampant in the Republican Party right now. They're always the ones being treated unfairly. The justice system isn't fair. She even said the justice system is fascist. Guess who's running the justice system right now? You have no words for that, do you? So just a typical January 6th insurrectionist that has no idea, no respect for authority, no respect for this country, no respect for the Constitution, and just a complete no accountability for herself for what happened, and just a complete joke. This woman is a complete motherfucking joke. She earned her prison sentence, and if I'm being honest with you, she probably deserved more. She planned that event. She knew what was going to happen. She wanted to overturn the election, and that is treasonous, and that makes you a traitor. And 200 years ago, you would have just been executed. It's that simple. So that was a terrible interview by Jordan Peterson. You asked basically no follow-up questions when she was definitely talking about the justice system in a way that even a dumb person, a child, would know that that's not how the justice system works. But he had zero pushback. But that's Jordan Peterson, man. He's a grifter. He doesn't believe in much of anything. He's just there to make money, and make money off of your fear. So Jordan Peterson, I don't know where he, like I said before, his daughter said he's sick or something. So I don't know if he's going to make any new stuff, but this is from a new channel that I guess he put together. It's just clips of interviews that he did back in the day. I've never seen this one, so I thought it was fascinating. And hearing January 6th rioters talk about their pardon and talk about how they didn't do anything wrong and just wham, 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 me. It's entertaining to me. So if I see any more of these interviews, I'll make sure I bring them to you. And if you guys want to see them, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
They're saying it out loud. They want to abolish all borders. They want to abolish all prisons. They want to defund the police. They want to abolish the U.S. Senate. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want the government to take over control of all production.
You talk about what the House has passed. So the Save America Act, and on your side, is about voter ID and proof of citizenship. What's come together in the Senate is different. The president wants some additional things about mail-in ballots, trans treatment, for minors and trans athletes. Will he accept the House version? You've had conversations with him. Is he willing to accept that version, or does he want everything else what's packed in the Senate version?
And he explained that the 14th Amendment, the original intent, was to enhance and really value citizenship, and it's been devalued because of birthright tourism, which is what we have now. It's a threat to the rule of law and national security. We do need to address it. We're looking at all angles. If there's some legislative fix, we'll advance that immediately. If it's a constitutional amendment, as you know, it takes a little more time.
Speaker of the House, MAGA Mike Johnson, goes on Fox News Sunday to discuss all of his legislative accomplishments. He's asked about how the DSA is taking over. He's asked about how he can't pass the Save America Act. And he's also asked about the birthright citizenship ruling. It's interesting to listen to him trying to pass legislation at this point, because he's about to be out of the job in about 4 months. And when you listen to this conversation, I think he knows it. Take a look.
Joining us now, House Speaker Mike Johnson. Speaker, great to have you back with us.
Glad to be with you.
All right, your thoughts on 250 into this experiment?
It's amazing. We are celebrating the greatest nation the world has ever seen, and it was full of activities and events here in Capitol Hill this weekend. We were up till after 2 a.m., 2 nights in a row, and could have kept going. The president was excited to deliver that speech in spite of the elements last night, and he told me backstage before he went out there, Mike, there's no way we could have postponed this. I said, you're right, sir. It was really well done.
Yeah, there were thousands of people who were willing to come back, despite multiple evacuations, to be there for all of the festivities last night. The president touched on something. He touched on this idea of the return of communism, and I know that you've talked about this too. Democrats are having to grapple with who's calling the shots in their party, as these Democratic Socialist members are having great success. But Steve Bannon said some interesting things to Politico this week that neither Republicans nor Democrats really fully grasp what they're dealing with here. He says this: if you're playing the old politics of tax cuts and wars everywhere and doing the bidding of Israel, his words, let me be blunt, you're finished. I just keep telling people it's a flashing red light, and the Senate Majority Leader John Thunes of the world and House Speaker Mike Johnson better understand that the old politics are gone. Your response?
That's like a typical Steve Bannon take, is that he's like, there's some truth to it, a lot of truth to it, what he's saying in that one. But his solution to that is going to be totally off to the right and some insane bullshit.
Well, Steve needs to see what we've been saying. I've been saying this for years and on the campaign trail for over a year and a half. And since Mamdani got elected in New York, I've been out on the campaign trail country-wide, across coast to coast, every swing district, the blue states, red states, saying the same thing. There are many Mamdanis popping up, running for Congress around the country, and you better be very serious about this. This is a serious threat to our whole system of government. These are Marxist. It's communism.
You're damn right it's a serious threat. This government isn't working for me, so we're going to fucking change it.
Socialism, those are deviations of Marxism, begins with the opposite premise of America, and it is a serious threat to us. These people want to say, they're saying it out loud, they want to abolish all borders. They want to abolish all prisons. They want to defund the police. They want
Those are lies. Those are lies. The one candidate said something about no borders and no prisons, but it's like a hyperbolic thing. She doesn't really mean she wants to get rid of Rikers. She wants to reform the system. What he's saying right now is bullshit.
They want to abolish the U.S. Senate. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want the government to take over control of all production. This is communism.
Not true.
And it has led to the murder of innocent people, tens of millions of them in the 20th century alone. We have to fight this. We're no longer just in an election cycle. We were saying it was common sense versus crazy. Now it's common sense versus communism, and everybody needs to wake up.
Well,
what is this, the 1950s again? We're gonna try to rail against communism again? Holy shit! Name one communist policy that Zohran Mamdani has implemented. I'll wait. Oh, wait, you can't name one because you're full of shit?
You talk about all the things that they're for, and the Democrats are having to have this internal fight over how much of this they're going to allow. They keep saying that they have a big tent, but do you think they internally understand what their party is facing?
I think quietly the Democrat establishment on Capitol Hill understands that, but they feel powerless to stop it, because if they stand up and say this is wrong, the problem they have is the energy, the excitement, the money, the grassroots is on the side of the insurgent left. And this is a threat that we have never seen before in the elected system of our government. Ronald Reagan used to warn about communism. He talked about it, that it was a distant threat across the world. And now the barbarians are inside the gate. So this election cycle is for all the marbles, Shannon. This is not your father's Democrat Party. That party's long gone.
Well, you've got your own GOP stuff to deal with. Politico puts it this way: intra-party.
All right, let's get into the Republicans, because hearing a MAGA politician talk about the Democrats when he has no fucking idea what he's talking about, he needs to get his own house in order before he even talks about the Democrats. That's what I would recommend for Mike Johnson, but he is almost out of the job.
Fights, tight margins, election year pressures with an indifferent president have grounded the pre-midterm legislative plans of GOP leaders on the Hill. Just a handful of days, they say, to get anything done. House leaders in particular, they say, appear to have lost control of their chamber. You had to send folks home. I mean, the House floor was brought to a stop, not by Democrats, but by some Republicans. How are you dealing with their concerns?
Well, the Hill Press Corps has been writing this for the last 2.5 years. Okay, we have the smallest margin in U.S. history. I functionally have a one-vote margin on most days. And so we work through everybody's preferences on legislation. And this week, a handful of Republicans took down the procedural rule to advance legislation. I just decided it was best to send everybody home to go celebrate July 4th in their districts. We'll come back, gather everybody together. The big urgency is to get Save America passed. The president has that as a top priority, and so do I. We passed it 3 times in the House. We're going to try one more time on a budget reconciliation bill, and I think that will be the way to get it through the Senate and finally to the president's desk. So that's forthcoming.
For the record, they couldn't. He sent them home because he couldn't pass the Save America Act this time in the House. They already passed it in the House a couple times, sent it to the Senate. Senate's like, hell no. So they tried again in the House and it failed. So he sent them home. Oh,
Okay, I want to talk about reconciliation.
that's sweet, man. It's sweet to see the MAGA Republicans losing, to see MAGA Mike Johnson losing. So sweet.
But before that, you talk about what the House has passed. So the Save America Act, and on your side, is about voter ID and proof of citizenship. What's come together in the Senate is different. The president wants some additional things about mail-in ballots.
Wants to prohibit mail-in balloting. That's what's in the Senate. That's what's in Trump's version of the Save America Act is getting rid of mail-in ballots. How do you go to Oregon, who's been doing mail-in ballots for like 20 years, and say you can no longer do mail-in ballots? Even though the Constitution gives election powers to the states, he wants to take that power away from the states and give it to himself. That's some sick shit, man.
He understands that one is a bigger reach. If we can get proof of citizenship and photo ID to vote, that eliminates so much of the problem, all the fraud and everything that...
What fraud? What fraud are you talking about?
Everybody's concerned about in our elections, particularly, frankly, in these blue states. Look at California. They're still counting ballots from an election that happened a month ago. It's crazy, and everybody understands that.
So one of the folks who's leading this conversation is Congresswoman Anna Paulina.
If everybody understands it, how come you can't pass this law? Because it's bullshit.
Luna, and when the House rule got shut down, you sent everybody home because you couldn't move forward. She tweeted, "I don't care who hates me in the chamber for it." She clearly has a point to make about Save America. She says this on X: "We should be doing everything to pass Save America, add it to reconciliation," which you've talked about, add it to the NDAA, add it to FISA, add it to every must-pass bill. Our frontline members promised this to their voters. Let's deliver. Now, she apparently felt the conversation about adding it to the defense bill was not adequate, that it would be done in a way that would allow potentially the Senate to strip it back out. So have you had that conversation with her?
I've had the conversation with her many times and with our Senate colleagues as well. What she was saying just frankly isn't true. What we did was a MERV, and that's a technical term to say we merged the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, with the Save America Act that we passed back in February, unanimously with all Republican votes. That is puts it in the base text. It merges the two bills into one, and it transmitted to the Senate that way. So what she was saying just simply isn't accurate. I tried to explain that to her on the floor. Nobody's mad at Anna. We all want the same thing. She's a team player. She's a dear friend of mine. We're going to get this done. And I reminded her, and she said herself, you know, we have done this in the House now 3 times already. We're going to do it again. And I'm going to put it in a reconciliation bill so that we can get it through the Senate. The problem is there's only 53 Republicans in the Senate. And to do substantive legislation, you need 60 votes. There is zero chance, Shannon, that 7 Democrats are going to help us on election integrity because, as the president rightfully says all the time, they count on this. I think some of them allow for some cheating in elections because they can't win on their policies.
Well, and you can't always count on all the Republicans in the Senate to stick together on critical issues either. So talking about reconciliation, just a few weeks ago, it came up in a Senate appropriations hearing. Senator Mitch McConnell said, then I think it's safe to conclude there will not be another reconciliation bill. So it's really not an option. Senator Susan Collins was sitting right next to him, and she followed that up saying, I agree with that assessment. So what do you say to your House members who say we can't count on reconciliation because the Senate may not do it?
Well, I've spoken to Leader Thune about this quite a bit, individual senators. I think some of that that lack of belief there is based upon what they think may be in it. What we're planning to do is send over a bill that will be irresistible for any Republican. Really incredible piece of legislation that will get the job done, meaning that we will continue to increase affordability, we will reduce fraud, waste, and abuse in government, and we'll secure elections. Every Republican would vote for that if packaged correctly, and that's what we're planning to do right now.
All right, so that's where Save America Act is going to move to the Senate, is probably through that plan.
Definitely not going to pass that bill. And the reason why I say they won't pass that bill is every time I hear them talking about it, there's another thing in it. There's another poison pill in it. So what I heard initially is like, dude, you can't just use an ID to register. Like, you need a birth certificate and a driver's license and your mom's maiden name. You need all of that just to register. So that it's like unnecessarily guardrails for registering. And then now I hear that in the bill they want to end mail-in balloting. Republicans won't vote for that. So there's no way any Democrats are going to join you to vote for that. And he's like using like, dude, maybe we could do a reconciliation. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. Dude, if you need Democratic senators to pass a bill, then you got to give us something, man. You can't just do all of your priorities, not give us something and think we're going to vote for your stupid thing. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, the way he's trying to defend this legislation and the way he's trying to defend the work he's doing, it just doesn't make any sense. And this is why come November, this motherfucker is going to be unemployed.
Okay, I want to talk to you about the Supreme Court's decision this week on birthright citizenship. The president tweeting afterwards, Truth Social, he said, we can easily make it up in Congress through legislation. No long and unwieldy constitutional amendment is necessary. A lot of conservative voices did not
Wrong.
read the opinion that way.
The Constitution is clear. I'm sick and tired of these MAGA assholes trying to mess with the Constitution. Either the Constitution means something or it doesn't. And right now, it sounds like it doesn't mean anything to you.
Including Governor Ron DeSantis, Harvard Law grad, not exactly a slouch. In this department, he says it's a substantive decision that says the 14th Amendment requires citizenship for those born to, among others, birth tourists or those unlawfully present in the country will need either a constitutional amendment or a future court to overrule this. Mike Lee joining in with that as well. The senator saying it's going to be a long fight to a constitutional amendment. I knew before Congress as a constitutional attorney and scholar. What say you about how this gets done, if there's a change to be made?
Well, I used to litigate constitutional law cases, so I really enjoyed Justice Clarence Thomas's dissent. It's everybody should read that, must read. He explained that the 14th Amendment, the original intent, was to enhance and really value citizenship, and it's been devalued because of birthright tourism, which is what we have now. It's a threat to the rule of law and national security. We do need to address it. We're looking at all angles. If there's some legislative fix, we'll advance that immediately. If it's a constitutional amendment, as you know, it takes a little more time. But we've got to address this. It really is a serious, serious issue.
Time for folks to brush up on Schoolhouse Rock. It is quite a process, and it isn't often done. All right, Speaker, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News.
So yeah, a great interview by Fox. A lot of times the Fox News show does do a pretty good job on its interviews. It's just like the excuses that MAGA and MAGA Mike always seem to come up with. They always claim that it's like some procedure or problem that we're having, one thing or another. MAGA Mike, he's good at like playing down a serious situation. But right now, let me paint this picture. Donald Trump doesn't want to do anything else until he gets the Save America Act done. And the reason why he wants that is he knows that MAGA is heading for a huge defeat in the midterms and then most likely again in the presidential race. So he wants to be in charge of these elections so that he knows who's going to, you know, take charge of office. And basically, if the Democrats take over, it's going to be impeachments, investigations, like that's it for the MAGA agenda. And the Save America Act is going to add guardrails to voting. So it's going to make it harder to vote, less people will vote. And that's always been good for Republicans. And then every time I hear about the bill, there's like a new thing in it. So now they've added, you know, no mail-in balloting, no mail-in ballots. There's 0% chance that the federal government's going to be able to eliminate mail-in balloting in the United States. That's not going to happen. Now, Trump's talk about messing with the USPS, things like that. That's all terrifying. He's in charge of the USPS. He can do that. So I don't like to hear that. And then he wants to add, you know, transgender stuff to the bill. It's just not a serious position, and it's never going to pass. And Mike Johnson knows it's not going to pass, but he sure as hell has to try. And it's, you know, people like Anna Paulina Luna, you know, holding up the vote. When she's not holding up the voting for the Save America Act, she's on News Nation talking about how she just got alien disclosure. She's been talking about that for years, but we've never seen any disclosure. So I'm assuming that's not happening either. Anna Paulina is also not a serious person when it comes to politics. So great interview by Shannon Bream on Fox News. MAGA Mike Johnson really held to the fire. He's really good at squirming out of the fires, but eventually he's going to get caught up and he's going to lose his job. And that's going to Mike Johnson, when he loses his job, that is going to be so sweet. The interview is going to be so sweet. He's going to be crying. It's going to be great. And when that happens, I'm going to bring it to you. And if you guys want to see that, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
I'm not saying this country is perfect, but I do love this country. And they're openly like saying they hate the country.
They have an entire strategy and a playbook, and it is working out beautifully.
Well, I mean, he's making the case for a political campaign like Spencer Pratt put on.
Yeah.
The idea of Dave Portnoy going up against someone like Zohran Mamdani is sad. That's really sad. And what's even sadder is these MAGA rejects, Julian Michaels, Dave Rubin, Dr. Drew, think that it's a good idea. So they do a little spot on Portnoy running for mayor, and they just cope and seethe how the DSA is taking over America. You guys got to see this.
Saying this country is perfect, but I do love this country. And they're openly like saying they hate the country.
They have an entire strategy and a playbook, and it is working out beautifully. Well, mine is far lighter, thank God. And it is about Portnoy deciding he's had enough and wanting to take on Mamdani. Take a look.
You're all over the news right now because you said that you may run for mayor of New York City. Why not just run for president?
I mean, really, the New York City thing is because I'm specifically, it's not, I guess, only here, but I am overly disgusted with what is going on with who's being elected, from Mamdani down to these primaries and the things they've said. They've let the fox into the henhouse. And I am, as I'm sure you are, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capitalist. I'm not saying this country is perfect, but I do love this country. And they're openly like saying they hate the country and they want over. I mean, it doesn't even.
Nobody says they hate the country more than MAGA and Donald Trump.
It's not real when you're like, well, she found a group that wanted to overthrow Western society. But I'll tell you what I would do, which would be a little.
What group? What group is trying to overthrow Western society?
Shift from Mamdani. He's got these idiotic politicians who don't know what the internet is, and he uses it like a weapon. He's never gone up against somebody who can be like, not so fast. Like, you think you're good at the internet? I'm pretty good at the internet myself. So it would be a very different type of opponent for him than what he's used to. It's almost like he's treating like how I was treating Wall Street. They don't know what to do when he's making these cutesy videos.
I mean, Drew.
Are you talking about the former mayors of New York? They don't know how to use the internet. They don't know how to like run a mayoral campaign. I would fucking love to see this idiot run for mayor and waste millions of dollars. He would get like 2 votes. The two fucking racists would do it. I even heard Curtis Sliwa saying, what the hell is this guy doing thinking he can run for mayor? Like Dave Portnoy is fucking delusional. So are these people too. So
what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, he's making the case for a political campaign like Spencer Pratt put
Bingo.
on, right? And they were.
He lost. Spencer Pratt lost. He got 3rd place, dude. He got no fucking votes. Nobody took Spencer Pratt seriously except for the MAGA retards. That's a terrible example.
And so he's right, and I'm excited. I also know that.
All right, that's a great example because Portnoy would fail just like that idiot Spencer Pratt did.
The feeling. I mean, I thought about getting into politics during the sort of COVID dark times here in California. And I was just like, we got to do something. Somebody's got to do something. And people go, oh, you go do something. I'm like, okay. I don't think I'm right yet. Maybe, I don't know. But somebody's got to do something. By the way, a friend of mine is an Army. Kat Timp's husband was an Army Ranger. He goes, your country needs you. I served my time. Time for you to.
Kat Timp is a Florida congresswoman who is a complete fucking. Well, no, Kat Timp is that one of those idiots on the Greg Gutfeld show.
Serve years.
Wow. I don't disagree with that, by the way.
It gets under your skin.
How about mayor, boss?
But when those guys, I know, when those guys start talking to you like that, it gets under your skin. You feel like, okay, I've got a responsibility now because, yes, you did. You gave your time. So, but it was not right for me.
As we celebrate 250 years of American independence, here's a reminder that freedom also means being able to get up, move around, and enjoy life without every day. Brought it up that he was thinking about it.
In a 7-minute video, you got to have a fucking advertisement in there. Jesus Christ, you guys. There's no liberal, podcasts or YouTube channels that just cut into a promo like that.
And obviously, I don't even know that Larry Elder had announced at that time, but I would have gladly supported both of them at the exact same time. The point was
Larry Elder, another MAGA retard that ran for governor of California and got absolutely embarrassed and smashed, and we never heard from him again, except for on Fox News and Newsmax.
More good people have to get involved.
Yep.
But yeah, I literally was scribbling Spencer Pratt as you said it. It's interesting because it's sort of like the next level, like, okay, so the communists, the socialists, they're here. None of these people that just got elected. And remember, it's Democrat primary. So trust me, I'm as crazed about all this as you guys are. And I think it's as dangerous as everybody watching this thinks. But let's not forget, so far, they're really out. Mamdani is the mayor. That's true. But the other 3 in New York last week, those are just Democrat primaries. So you got to hope that in a general election, the average person, and you might be right, Jillian. I'm just trying to white pill it for a second.
At least they're right about this one thing. 0% chance that those DSA candidates lose in New York. Even these idiots know that.
And here, you might. Yeah, I get it. It's New York, and Drew already has lived through it in
but
LA.
Dave, this is thought through so meticulously. They have an entire strategy and a playbook, and it is working out beautifully, exactly like they planned. That is why they run in these deep blue districts. There's nominal voter turnout, like under 10% of the people in New York turned out to vote. Like, they know exactly what they are doing. A Republican will not win. This is a foregone conclusion. It just happened again in Colorado yesterday. It is a huge freaking problem, guys.
So I am not.
Cope, bitch. Cope more. Holy shit.
Not dismissing any of that. You're
I
right.
know you're not, D. I know you're not.
Chevalier, I think, in New York 13 won with, it was 10%. You just mentioned this, but literally 10% of the people voted. She got a little over half. So she didn't even get that many votes. We'll get you the exact numbers in
You
just a
got the
sec.
majority of the vote, dude.
All I'm saying on the white pill side of that is I don't really think this is where America's at. They have a lot of momentum right now, and they have a lot of radical activists who say crazy things, and we all respond to it. But I actually think, regardless of Portnoy's political beliefs, which I don't, I think he strikes me as just kind of like a nominal liberal, but I mean that in a good sense, like just like an average guy who believes that America's good and has a mixed bag of views, let's say. The fact that you'd be pushing someone like him into running is good, right? Like that's like the rebound.
Right.
You guys wreck so much havoc. You create.
If that's who MAGA and the Republican Party thinks should be running and is guys like Dave Portnoy, man, they're gonna lose all the fucking elections moving forward. Like, that is embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
It's so much awfulness that eventually good people will get involved. Unfortunately, in a place like LA, on election night, we all thought Pratt was going to be, in the runoff. And
Nobody thought that. Nobody thought that.
then what happened? And Raman literally conceded while crying, and now he's out and she's in. So
She literally did not concede. You're a liar, Dave.
So you never know.
You got to vote in the local elections. You must vote in the local
and
elections.
we've got to regain the integrity of our elections. It's so ridiculous what goes on
It's
here.
a combo.
It's ridiculous.
It's like there's
Okay, so Jillian is right in that we need to vote in our local elections. But I will say this, most of MAGA are not going to vote in the upcoming elections because they don't have anything to vote for. What are you voting for? When they voted for Trump, Trump was saying, hey, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that. He ended up not fixing anything and doing the exact opposite of what he said. So right now, MAGA and Republicans have nothing to vote for. All they have is something to vote against. But right now, like voting against somebody that wants to give you, free healthcare, how the fuck do you vote against that? You don't. And then furthermore, Dr. Drew saying we need to get, election integrity back. What are you talking about? Prove to me that we need to get our election integrity back in order. And here they're about to just cope even worse.
the way that they rigged the game so that literally Nithya Raman is sitting on the council to manage the homeless shelters, right? Delivering checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars to these homeless shelters where they simultaneously set up voter registration hubs. So the person writing the check is also the one that controls whether your bed exists, is also registering you to vote.
But
And
Jill,
it's
it's all legal. It is all legal.
Exactly. And the only way to outrun that game is when it's too big to fail, when you show up to vote. It is the only way. I don't care how many Portnoys, I don't care how many Spencer Pratts, they cannot beat the system the way that it is currently designed. We need to come out in droves and vote.
Okay, well, I will agree with Jillian on that one, is that we need to come out. Every American should come out and vote, whether you're no, I don't want you to come out and vote for MAGA, but yeah, the percentage of Americans voting is very disappointing on every election, honestly. So she's right there, but as usual, just absolutely just coping. Like these idiots are coping. Dave Ruman, Julian Michaels, Dr. Drew. This is 3 MAGA hack jobs that don't have an original thought or opinion on anything, and they just repeat the MAGA talking line. And to bring up, like Spencer Pratt running, being the same as like Dave Portnoy, like, does that mean that you're not serious about the election? No, you're not serious about the election. I hope that that's who the Republicans run, because that means Mamdani will be mayor of New York City again. So yeah, actual friends are actual retards, and this show is so embarrassing, and it cracks me up every time I see it. So if they say anything stupid again that I feel like you guys need to see, I'll bring it to you. And if you guys want to see it, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
We should change that?
No.
No.
I think the Constitution looks good the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Just the way it is. I support the state of Israel as a state with equal rights. I believe that any state that
But as
preferences...
a Jewish state is the question.
I think any state that privileges one religion over the other is one that I can't tell you I support, whether it be Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. And a lot of that comes back to a fundamental belief that we should all be considered equal no matter what our faith is.
Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic Socialist mayor of New York. Now, a lot of the establishment are freaking out because they think socialism is like bad or something, but the people want this. They like Zohran's policies. They elected him. They're electing other Democratic Socialists. This is the direction we're going. ABC is part of the establishment. They don't want that to happen. So they want to make Mamdani look bad. So they ask like MAGA-coded, establishment-coded questions to make him look bad. But Zohran's answers are all great. It's what the people want to hear. And he absolutely knocks this interview out of the park. Take it away, Mr. Mamdani.
And the idea of a Jewish state, Israel's a Jewish state, that's in the charter. That's the way it is now. Do you support that?
I've said time and again that I support the state of Israel as a state with equal rights. I believe that any state that
But as
preferences...
a Jewish state is the question.
I think any state that privileges one religion over the other is one that I can't tell you I support, whether it be Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. And a lot of that comes back to a fundamental belief that we should all be considered equal no matter what our faith is.
Excellent answer on Israel. Look, Israel has a right to exist, but not as a Jewish state. If you want to be a Jewish state, that's fine, but you can't be like killing other people and taking money from Americans to kill other people to make yourself a solely Jewish state. That's disgusting. Totally agree with Zoran on that one. If any Democrats running for office, you don't know what to say about Israel, that's what you say right there. So Trump and Mamdani have had an interesting relationship. Like, Trump should not like him, but Trump has been honestly kind of glazing him this entire time. Take a look.
There was also a take, it's not just Democrats. You've probably heard what President Trump had to say about you and about the candidates you supported. And he warned that if socialists win, and he calls you communists, but you will start living in squalor. There'll be no food, no housing, no military, no law and order. There'll be nothing. And he had a few other choice words. By the way, he also said he still likes you. But what do you make of what he? I mean, the Republicans are going to make you the poster child for the Democratic Party.
Let them. We don't have to ask ourselves what life looks like if a socialist wins. I won last November, and over the course of these last 6 months, what we've delivered for working people are the very things we were told were impossible. We've delivered free childcare for 2-year-olds for the first time in New York City history. We've delivered tens of millions of dollars back to tenants who were taken advantage of by bad landlords. We've delivered 165,000 potholes being paved. And we've done all of these things while also delivering the lowest recorded crime in our city's history. That's what it looks like to have democratic socialism. And what you're seeing is that New Yorkers experienced this for 6 months and made the decision that they wanted to see more of it on the national stage as well.
Clearly, MAGA and Trump don't know what communism is. This is not communism. He's not preaching communism. We're talking about socialism here, and you guys need to understand the difference. It's ridiculous at this point. So Trump saying that we're going to have, no food, no housing, no military. Well, this is what I'll say. We already have millions of Americans with no food. We already have millions of Americans with no housing, and our military hasn't accomplished a fucking thing in 60 years. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like, all of that stuff is we could talk about all those things, but the way you're describing them is just not accurate. And then Mamdani going on to actually, instead of attacking Trump, go into what he has accomplished for New York, free child health care, fixing the roads and the streets. These are things that people elected and want. And these are the stuff that Trump ran on, but he hasn't gotten any of those things done. So that brings up the point. It's not just MAGA and Trump that don't want the Democratic Socialists to take power. It's also the establishment Democrats that see the writing on the wall that their asses are grass, and people are electing these Democratic Socialists. And Mamdani is going to explain why in this next clip.
And you're hearing some not just dismissive, though. There's resentment. And this is from fellow Democrats who think that this could jeopardize Democratic chances in the fall. I mean, you've got Josh Gottheimer, a Democratic member of Congress, says
Josh Gottheimer, along with Dan Goldman, are Israel simps that have taken millions of dollars from the Israel lobby, and their opinion doesn't matter because they're going to be out of office very shortly here.
Many of us believe, as do I, if you're a socialist, you are not a Democrat. And in fact, they put out a manifesto today. I don't know, have you seen this thing?
Sounds pretty socialist to me.
It's not a communist manifesto. It's a moderate manifesto saying we are capitalist, not socialist. We believe in a growing, fair, and competitive economy, entrepreneurship, ownership. I mean, this is a direct response. They've made it clear to what you did here on Tuesday.
Well, I mean, that's great, but what's a party if not its voters? And I'm proud to sit in front of you as the mayor of our city, having received more than 1 million votes a little less than a year ago. And when we're talking about these incredible congressional candidates, they won their races, and they won their races with a vision of what politics should be, and one that actually speaks to working people. And for a lot of people who ask themselves, what does democratic socialism mean? And you can tell them the answer at a theoretical level. It's the choice to extend democracy from the ballot box the rest of their lives. But in terms of what it means over these last 7 months, we've seen a city with democratic socialist principles at the heart of it within our administration. And what we've delivered has been record lows when it comes to murders and shootings.
So is it pragmatic democratic socialism?
I think democratic socialism at the heart is pragmatic, because if we cannot deliver for working people, then what is this for? I'm not interested in writing a manifesto or, frankly, in reading one. I'm interested in delivering, and that's exactly what we've been showing.
That's how terrified the establishment Democrats are right now. Listen, guys, you guys lost to Trump twice. You guys are fucking done. Dan Goldman's already out in November. There's other, establishment Dems that are going to be out in November as well. Quite a few when it's all said and done. So it's not about what the establishment Dems think capitalism is. It's about what the people think. And the people think that capitalism and this government is going to start delivering for us. Not the politicians, not themselves. They're going to deliver for the people that voted for them and put them in office. ABC News, you guys could do whatever you want to try to make Democratic Socialists look bad, look like communists or some shit like that. But it's not going to work because this is what the people want and the movement started and we have the momentum. What else we got about the party?
You know, I think that when you ask Americans what they're feeling in this moment, amidst reports of an economy that's strengthening, of a stock market that's booming, you will hear an exhaustion at having to try and make ends meet every single day, every single week, every single month, and that it's getting harder and harder. And so a message of fighting for working people, we don't have to nationalize that message. That is a national message. It's a national crisis. And for far too long, all we've had to say as a party is opposition to the current administration. What do we have to say beyond that? And what these candidates offer is a vision that extends beyond the midterms, it extends beyond 2028. It speaks to what makes so many of us proud to be Democrats. It speaks to a vision that goes back to a New Deal understanding of what working people deserve. And I'll tell you that for too long, that kind of politics, you can only find it in history books, and we need to bring it back to the present day.
God damn it, that is just good shit right there. I have nothing to add there. He's just a politician for the people, and he's so good at this. He's so charismatic. He says the right things. It's good stuff. It's a shame that the Constitution says that if you're not born here, you can't be president. Otherwise, he'd be a shoo-in for the next president of the United States. However, it's in the Constitution. It's a rule. And one thing that MAGA has been really pissing me off about is that they don't seem to care about the Constitution at all, unless it suits them. And even then, they don't care about it. Let's ask Mamdani how he feels about the Constitution. And I'll let you guys decide. Do you want somebody that's for the Constitution or you want somebody that's against it?
You're turning 35 soon, right?
In a few months, yes.
So you now hit one of the constitutional requirements to run for president. But there's another one that says you have to be a natural-born citizen. You were not born here.
Yes.
But do you think that's something that should be changed in the Constitution? It would take an amendment, but do you think that we should change that?
No.
No.
I think the Constitution looks good the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Just the way it is. I'm very excited to focus on New York City. But thank you for reminding me of my upcoming
35
mortality.
years old. 35 years old. All right.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
I hate to say it, but it's refreshing to hear a politician say they don't want to mess with the Constitution. After the last year and a half of Trump and the Trump administration trampling all over Americans' Constitution, it's nice to hear a politician say they're not going to mess with it. It's a bummer that he can't be president, but good for New York. They get to have a guy like this. And the people are seeing that the Democratic Socialists are delivering for the people that elect them. And the more they see that, the more that the Democratic Socialists will get elected. Anybody that looks at MAGA, first of all, I don't know how you could look at Trump and be like, this is the man of the people. This guy is a white, wealthy businessman. He's been that way his whole life. He is not one of you. He's part of the elite. He is part of the swamp. He's been that way his entire life. He just tried to act like he's not because you idiots fell for it. So what we're seeing these Democratic Socialists do what they said they're going to do. Voters are going to see that. They're going to recognize it. And they're going to reward the next DSA candidates that actually go out there. And no matter what the Democratic Socialist platform, Democratic centrist, establishment platform says, they are going to fucking lose. Anybody that supports Israel, anybody that wants to send money to Israel, you're going to fucking lose your next election. Mark my word. I just want to bring it back to the reason why the DSA is getting elected is because people genuinely feel like these people feel my pain. They want to help me. They want to be a part of helping out my life. And that's proved in what Mamdani's been doing. Like, just everything that he's been doing is something positive for the community. And I just love what's happening. And as it continues to happen, I'm going to continue to cover it and bring it to you guys, and we'll talk about it here. And if you guys want to see that content, like, share, and subscribe. And before we go, I'm going to leave you with Mamdani just doing another thing that makes him look like he's actually part of the community he's in. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll leave you with this heartwarming video of Mamdani.
Thank you to Goodwill. We appreciated the suit that we got. It's actually not as cold as you'd think. It's perfect.
You're a crazy liberal.
Vice President J.D. Vance is continuing his humiliation tour by going on the Enlightened Centrist show, Bill Maher. They talked about immigration and the fact that MAGA cannot accept an election that they lose, take it away. But Bill Maher's talking about that watches the show is not Usha Vance. It's Donald Trump. All these shows that J.D. Vance is going on is for an audience of one, and that's his boss, Donald Trump. Like, it has nothing to do with spreading the word or making the administration look better. It's all about just appeasing the dictator in chief. Next, dude, JD's Vance, his take that immigration enforcement has to look this violent and this out of pocket is absurd. And if that's his stance, that this is how immigration is going to move forward, and he runs for president, he's going to lose just based on that. They're going to lose anyway, and they're going to claim fraud, and it's going to be a mess. So up next, Bill Maher brings up just the election fraud claims that Trump and his entire administration have been carrying water for the past 5 years. It just makes me so sick. Like, this is one of the main reasons why I can't stand Donald Trump, is because he lost in 2020 and he can't fucking accept it. Like in 2020, he won and it was okay. 2024, he lost and it was fraud. And then the midterms, or not the midterms, the latest California elections, MAGA lost and it's fraud. And then all the other elections that MAGA won was not fraud. Like, just like, think about that for a second. Like, use your brain for 2 seconds. How is it that everything that MAGA loses is fraud and everything they win is just fine? Like, think about that rationally for a second there. So, and then he talks about, election rules and things like that. Bill Maher is like, dude, we already litigated all that shit. Dominion, Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, released the Kraken. All that's been litigated for years, spent millions of dollars, and there was no fraud proven. So you can't go on that anymore. So instead, guys like J.D. Vance, they go to the other attack point where they're like, well, social media censored us and that's why we lost. Like, dude, that is not why you lost. That is complete bullshit. And there's so much disinformation on the internet. Like, that is just a bullshit argument. You need to prove that the election was stolen. You need to prove it. And until you prove it, you can't keep on saying this shit that the election was stolen. There's a reason why a majority of the MAGA voters believe that the election was stolen. It's not because of proof. It's because they have a feeling, and they have a feeling because Donald Trump keeps on telling that over and over and over again. And that's part of the deal with Donald Trump. He knows that if he says a lie enough times, morons are going to believe it. So that's where we're at right now. We have a president right now that will not accept election results. We have a vice president who will also not accept election results. And we're going into several very major elections here, which is terrifying. The idea that the next midterms and then the presidential election don't have an insane amount of election shenanigans done by MAGA and Trump is absurd. That it's going to be a mess. But either way, we have to make this, too big to rig, and we got to get MAGA the fuck out of here, because this response from J.D. Vance is unacceptable. And one thing that I also find interesting is that MAGA commentators really do believe that J.D. Vance went on here and did a good job. So check out these thumbnails, these posts from MAGA commentators saying that they thought J.D. Vance did a good job. Like, how can you spin this interview in a way that J.D. Vance did a good job on this? Like, he looks like an asshole. Like, that's kind of where we're at. We have literally one part of the country saying that, water's not wet when it's clearly wet. I don't know how we're going to get through this. A little stressed out about the whole thing, especially when I see J.D. Vance still continuing to say that the election was stolen. But America's strong, and we'll get through this, and Democrats will rise up and take care of this MAGA threat. So that's all I got for you guys on the Bill Maher stuff. Sometimes the Enlightened Centrist says some things that resonate pretty well with me. So like, share, and subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
It's because there's tons of people here. It's a huge space, and it's just going to get more and more crowded as the week goes on.
Not only do we have a lot of people here, we have people that you want to have, like Stacey Garrity. That woman's going to be next governor of Pennsylvania.
There we go.
Yep, look at her, the beautiful red hair.
And sometimes the pictures really don't tell the full story, because if you look behind us, you see, okay, there are a couple hundred people back there, but the truth is, when you make your way over here and you're in a wash of people.
America is celebrating its 250th birthday this year, and to mark that celebration, Trump is trying to throw a big party in D.C. at the National Mall. Now, Fox News and all of Trump's people are there really hyping this thing up, saying there's a lot of people here, that's a big event, there's a lot of energy, in spite of the pictures and videos showing that it's a sparsely attended event at best. So let's check out the Fox News propaganda at work.
So yes, it's typically hot in the summer, but it's not this hot in the summer. That's it from here for me. But a guy who knows all about places that are hot, Lawrence, LJ, you're over in Texas, I think, where it's always hot out
I was
there.
born in heat, and that's Texas.
Yeah, you
All
were.
right, Adam, thank you so much. All right, so we're right in front of the Texas tent. This is where everything big happens. All right, if you look over there, there's a rodeo. You're going to get cattle. You're going to get horses, and that's all from Texas. But I want y'all to meet a special friend. You know her well. Let's go. This is the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins.
Goodness.
My
Welcome
friend
to
from a long
Texas.
time. It's good to be back home.
I just want to make a note and revisit what you guys said earlier. I have never seen so many people, so many cool people. I'm a conservative, you know that, but there are Democrats here, and we're not talking about anything except patriotism and the celebration of America. So all of these self-hating media outlets who are saying that this fair is a failure, get your butt down here, and I will prove you wrong. This is historical. This is epic. I just want to.
So first, Lawrence Jones, the black man that thinks he's part of Team White Guy. You will never be part of Team White Guy. You will always be a black man in the eyes of Fox News and the MAGA movement. Next, whoever this artist is, obviously you're a conservative, bro, and I highly doubt there's any Democrats there. Nice try, buddy. What else you got, Fox?
Happy early birthday, America. We're celebrating already at the Great American State Fair. Man, we've got thousands of people celebrating this birthday with us, Tommy. You and I had a chance to go out. We got to see some of the exhibits. I'm sure you got what I got, which was a lot of people going, hey, love to watch it on Fox. I hope a lot of them left the mall, went home and turned on their TV and are watching this right now.
Live from the Great American
to Senators McCormick and Fetterman. They are friends of the Sunday briefing. Before we let you go, I asked our team to go and collect some of what the food is that's available. We've got a hot dog.
The Good American hot dog.
That could be from any state.
Yes.
And then a pizza.
We've got a pizza. Who doesn't love cheese pizza here on the National Mall? That's right.
If Dave Portnoy, who comes on the show sometimes, was here, we would have him take one bite.
Yes, yes.
Secretary Rollins, thank you very much for being here.
You know, the hot dog and the pizza, those look delicious, but they also had a pancake eating contest, so it's just kind of interesting considering the Maha movement that this is the food that they're featuring. Almost like they don't really care about the Maha movement. Let's check out some of the state exhibits that they were talking about.
President Trump wants all 50 states to come together here at the Great American State Fair to show their pride.
North Carolina planned to skip this, but the Freedom 250 organizers asked the Winston-Salem company that built their tractor trailers to step in. Their exhibit is a race car and some North Carolina potatoes. Arizona had the longest line to get in for a black light star experience and a free cactus pen. Maryland is featuring a different local artist every day and a photo booth to go back in time. DC has a positivity tree. Virginia has a photo op with letters made out of stuff that grows there. Connecticut and Maine are sharing a space and basically just put up some chairs and their state logos. Michigan has a fake cow you can milk. Wisconsin has a real Harley you can sit on. And this guy definitely wins for best t-shirt. Most of the rest of the states and territories just seem to be using the Great American State Fair as a Great American Visitors Bureau. Although, shout out to Guam, which is now totally on my must-visit list.
Obviously, this wouldn't be a MAGA event without some controversy, so let's check out the North Carolina state setup.
Here at the Great American State Fair, visitors on Friday were surprised when they walked into the North Carolina pavilion and saw that there was an image of a Confederate flag projected on multiple screens. A spokesperson for the companies that are running this booth said that it was an unapproved image and that it was immediately taken down. This video, posted by Reuben Jones at Spectrum News, shows TV monitors with the Confederate flag side by side with a portion of the current North Carolina flag. North Carolina's governor, Josh Stein, called for the display to be removed and issued a statement condemning it. North Carolina's state government chose not to participate in the fair, citing financial issues, as other states pulled out over concerns of partisanship at the event.
I'm shocked. I can't believe that someone brought a Confederate flag to a MAGA event. Unbelievable. How could that possibly happen? I could have never seen that coming. Everyone saw that coming. What the? Come on, you guys. Stop it with the Confederate flag. That's some bullshit right there. Apparently, they had taken that part of the exhibit down. Now it's just American flag. So they took it down because they knew they were wrong. What other controversies?
Yahweh, 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 Yahweh.
Well, obviously, what would a MAGA event be without an Israeli flag and celebrating America's 250th birthday without an Israeli flag? because that's how MAGA lives their life anyway. The United States of Israel. Fuck Israel. Anyway, was there anything embarrassed that happened there? I mean, there was the guy that was the MAGA fan accused of masturbating at the fair. You know, that's the type of stuff that we're talking about here. It's just, we got the Fox News propaganda. We got the Trump administration propaganda. There's nobody else there. All the karma, all the energy is against this event. No one's showed up. This is a disaster. And they spent millions of dollars on this. I don't even know how, they haven't even talked about it, but I'm sure they spent millions of dollars for this party that we shouldn't even be having. We have a lot of other things going on right now, like the war in Iran, like tariffs, like millions of people losing their health insurance, like the fact that I can't buy a house. There's a lot of things going on right now, and the last thing we need to do is have this big extravagant party for America's birthday. We can have a one weekend with a drone show and some fireworks and some hot dogs, and that's it. Whatever this is the Trump administration in a nutshell. It's kind of like, you know, like the reflecting pool. Like obviously Trump built a shitty reflecting pool and it's not working out. And Trump's like, hey, it's sabotage. When anybody with a brain can see that he built a shitty reflecting pool. Same thing with this party. You have Fox News and you have Trump administration officials gaslighting you and telling you that this is some big, great party that all these people are going to, when the pictures and the videos tell you that there's nobody there. This administration and Trump are just a bunch of liars. They're just lying about everything. They're just gaslighting you about everything. They're just a fraud. You can't trust anything they say. Even when like the reality hits you in the face, they still look at you and lie to your face. What a joke. This administration is a complete joke. The celebration is a complete joke. When are they going to have Vanilla Ice perform? Is that still a thing? Because everyone else backed out. All they have is Vanilla Ice left and Trump speaking for 2 hours to a bunch of people that aren't going to fucking listen. God, so embarrassing. This is embarrassing for America. Guys, don't go to this. Just stay home, get some fireworks from your local, you know, high school band and enjoy the 4th of July that way. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed as American. We got to do better, guys. So it's up. End rant. You guys enjoy this video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.
The U.S. Supreme Court handed down two key decisions on presidential power and the firing of people from government agencies. Justices ruled that President Trump does not have the constitutional authority to fire Lisa Cook, a governor from the Federal Reserve Board.
But the court backed the president's power to terminate Rebecca Slaughter, a Democratic appointee to the Federal Trade Commission. This ruling grants more presidential power over federal agencies that are considered independent. It overturns 90 years of precedent. CNN chief legal affairs
Overturn 90 years of precedent. The so-called conservative Supreme Court keeps on overturning precedent, just like, you know, Roe versus Wade. Captured. Conservatively captured.
Affairs correspondent Paula Reed is right outside the Supreme Court. So Paula, walk us through the significance of these decisions today.
Pamela, these are such incredibly significant decisions. In many ways, these will be some of the defining opinions of the Roberts Court, because they get to this question that has been hanging over the second Trump term, which is, are there any limits to his ability to fire federal officials? And here they give us some insight. While President Trump and his lawyers believe in something called a unitary executive theory, and that the executives should be able to fire anyone they want, any way they want, here the justices put a few limits on that. In the one case, they ruled, and it's a really interesting group that was in this majority opinion. It's Chief Justice John Roberts, Justice Kavanaugh, and the three liberals all ruled that he cannot fire an official in the Federal Reserve without going through a process, giving that individual an opportunity to respond, that there are some limits on his power when it comes to firing officials at that agency. Now, that is one that has, of course, always been recognized as being independent of the White House. But in a separate case, when it comes to an employee at the Federal Trade Commission, that he does have the power to fire that individual because that is within the executive branch. And again, this is a significant decision because it's sort of drawing out the contours of the extent of his power to try to reshape the federal government through these mass firings. Now, President Trump wasn't clear how he was going to react to these decisions, and it's been a pretty mixed day for him overall at the court, but he described this as, quote, a big win.
I want to bring in our chief Supreme Court analyst, Joan Biskupic, right now. Joan, like Pamela, Paula, you were inside the court when these decisions came down. Give us a little sense of how that felt.
Sure, Wolf. It's good to see you. The most important thing the justices did today was in the case involving Rebecca Slaughter of the Federal Trade Commission. Chief Justice John Roberts and the conservative majority used that decision to roll back nearly a century of legal policy about the president's power to remove the heads of regulatory agencies. Now, in some ways, this is going to sound kind of dry and arcane, but regulatory agencies are so important for how Americans live their lives. They cover rules for, medical, health, nuclear power. In this case, it's the Federal Trade Commission that was at issue, and we're talking about, safeguarding consumer practices, antitrust issues. So that gives you a sense of all that's at stake. But this court, for many, many years, has really not appreciated the congressional power to set these up and set up independent heads that the president can only remove for what's called for cause. That would be if somebody was actually found guilty of some sort of malfeasance or ineffectiveness in office. And that's what happened to Rebecca Slaughter. She was an appointee who had many more years left on her term, but President Trump, when he came into office, said he wanted to remove her, he wanted the power to do that. And the Supreme Court has used that case to say, yes, President Trump can remove Rebecca Slaughter, even though her term's not up, a Democratic appointee, and he can do that at the multitude of other independent agencies that at one point, as I said, Congress had set up to be independent, to not be under the pressure of the president. That was a 6-3 decision. And after the chief, who has had a special project here in trying to give the president much more robust power to not just hire people, but to fire. Justice Sotomayor then read her dissent from the bench, and she said, this can go in one of two directions. This can give, it can give the president more power, and maybe he would be more accountable, or it could lead to chaos. And she looked up at the spectators, and she said something to the effect, I can guess it which way it will go. Maybe you can, too. So, Wolf, a dramatic case today. It doesn't apply to the Federal Reserve, as we saw with the Lisa Cook one, but it applies to a multitude of other agencies who perform a lot of safeguard functions across the country.
So basically what she's saying is, like, there's a lot of independent agencies, that, like, let's say there's a nuclear agency that runs nuclear power plants and stuff like that. So basically what Trump is doing is, and these agencies are set up by Congress. They're set up by Congress, they're funded by Congress, and who leads the agency is set up by Congress. So it's not like someone that was like elected, it's like an appointee that Congress does, like they vote on it. And what Trump's doing is he wants to go into all these independent agencies and take out the head of the agency and then a bunch of people that work for that guy. And then put in his guy that's hardly ever qualified, so that whenever Trump wants to do something that involves that agency, that person just puts a rubber stamp on whatever Trump wants to do. So the independence of the government in general is getting totally ruined right now by the Trump administration and the Supreme Court.
All right, Joan Piskupic, thank you very, very much, Paula.
I want to go over to Paula Reed now, because there was another big ruling today where justices rejected a Republican challenge to a Mississippi law that allows the counting of some mail-in ballots days after Election Day. So it's certainly a blow to President Trump and his efforts, Paula, to reduce mail-in voting ahead of the midterm.
I do find it interesting that Mississippi, the reddest of red states, allows post-dated mail-in ballots, but California does it, and all you hear about is how California is breaking some election law. Like, that doesn't seem right to me, From
elections.
That's exactly right. And Pamela, I really do think this is one of the biggest cases of the term. And it's notable that it came out against the Trump administration, because they've been arguing that if the law says that the election has to be held the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, ballots cannot be counted if they come in after that. And this was sort of a test case. If they were able to succeed here and limit those ballots from being counted, it was expected that they could potentially go on to challenge other forms of voting, not exactly on Election Day, in-person voting, those kinds of things. So it's notable here that they lost, and the state of Mississippi, which does allow the counting of mail-in ballots if they arrive after Election Day, as long as they are postmarked by Election Day, that state won, because this is something that is also done in roughly a dozen other states. So this is a really significant case, because we were watching this closely to see if the Trump administration prevailed in this case, where else could they try to go to limit those voting opportunities. So this is a significant loss for the Trump Justice Department.
There was also something else that happened at the High Court this morning. The Supreme Court declining to hear President Trump's appeal in the E. Jean Carroll sexual abuse case. So what does this mean for the president?
Well, this means that
it means that Trump is still a racist.
2 E. Jean Carroll cases is over, right? There were 2 verdicts people will remember for defamation, and one of the cases involved alleged sexual assault. The verdict that came out for $5 million has now been upheld. It's over. Donald Trump has to pay E. Jean Carroll $5 million because the Supreme Court declined to take the case. They had actually postponed their decision whether they would take it or not for something like 13 or 14 or 15 times. And then today they said, we are not taking the case. Not surprising, it doesn't have a real constitutional dimension. Therefore, the lower court ruling and the verdict, the $5 million verdict, stands. Donald Trump has to pay that to E. Jean Carroll. We still don't know what's going to happen with the other case, which resulted in the $80 million verdict. That's still going through the appeals process. But Donald Trump does now have to.
When a lot of times when the Supreme Court releases its findings, like they do it in groups, and it's always like, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The way they send out these rulings seems politically charged. And having the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, making their decisions based off political interest is terrifying, and it's unsettling for me, to say the least. Donald Trump did respond to these rulings. So the first ruling was the one that he's allowed to fire heads of independent agencies that were confirmed by Congress, paid for by Congress, and after the last 90 years was unable to fire these people. But the conservative Supreme Court, which is not supposed to be like changing things, you know, like the progressives want to do, conservatives are supposed to keep things the same and keep on overturning precedent, like Roe versus Wade, the voting on black districts. There's others that I'm probably not thinking of. But anyway, Trump's response was, today's historic slaughter decision by the Supreme Court is the greatest increase in presidential power in the last 100 years. Such a monumental ruling at such an important time. What? That is very off-putting, to say the least, man. I don't want to hear that shit. Why would we increase presidential power? Well, that's what Trump has always wanted. That's what was outlined in Project 2025, is that they believe in the unitary power of the president, that the president basically just does everything and Congress doesn't fucking matter. So, and then the other response was in response to his loss on the E. Jean Carroll case. Now, the case, there's 2 different rulings on E. Jean Carroll. One was for sexual assault, which is what they call rape in New York, and the other one was for defamation. So the first one was the $5 million one. That's what was ruled on, and the Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump. They said, you got to pay the $5 million, dude. You know why? Because you're a fucking rapist, and you need to pay that woman. Is he going to pay that woman? Probably not. And then there's also another $80 million case that is still going through the courts, that if the Supreme Court didn't take this case, that I don't think they're going to take the other one either. So Donald Trump's going to be paying a lot of money to the woman that he stuck his fingers in her vag or whatever it is that happened. So he did respond to it, and this is what he said. Surprisingly, the Supreme Court declined to review a fake case brought against me by a woman I never met. Decades-old celebrity photo line standing in front of her husband does not count. He looked at a photo of E. Jean Carroll and thought that it was her wife, Melania. His wife, Melania. Okay, that's where he's at. I will continue to fight against this weaponization and lawfare case against me, including the ridiculous claim of defamation, with all my power and strength. This case is really against the United States of America. No, it's not. It's against you, you rapist. And it all it stands for. I should never be allowed to happen to another president or candidate to be. New York State created a law for an instant speck of time going back many decades in order to wrongfully nab me. It was tailor-made, and this injustice cannot be allowed to stand. Thank you for your attention to this. God, dude, he's such a whiny bitch. Dude, you sexually assaulted this woman, and this is not the only one. You've done it to a whole bunch of other, but all the other ones were paid off, or they're too afraid to speak out. Dude, even the Supreme Court says you got to pay this woman for sexually assaulting her. Donald Trump is a rapist, you guys. Even the Supreme Court is confirming it. Great. Love to hear it. So I was looking on X a little bit too, and some of it doesn't matter when I'm glad. The thing about X now is that you could say anything on there. Like I'm not sure. I think there's porn on there too, just like Reddit. But I brought up this one, Mila Joy. I don't know if that's a real person, who that is. It might be a robot. It might be someone in Russia. I really don't know. But this is what she said. Amy Coney Barrett is a traitor to the conservatives everywhere. Trump picked a secret liberal to be on the Supreme Court. Boy, she sure fooled him. Trump got fooled again. Trump hired another fool. Is that what you're saying? Like, that's what everyone in his cabinet, when they get fired, they're always like, oh my God, I hated that person. Like, when they were originally hired, you loved that hire. You loved Amy Coney Barrett when she ruled on Roe versus Wade. You loved Pam Bondi when she went to the court hearing and she's like, fuck the liberals, you know? it's just more of the same bullshit. So today, Trump got 2 losses and a win essentially, and honestly, the win is probably more powerful than the losses. Yeah, Trump is still a racist, but MAGA doesn't care that he's a racist. Or Trump is still a rapist, but MAGA doesn't care that he's a rapist. So that doesn't really matter. What does matter is that Trump now has more power than he ever has before, thanks to the conservative Supreme Court. Great job, guys. Great job. So just so you guys know, if you guys keep on doing these bullshit, actually, it doesn't matter. You guys already done too many bullshit rulings. And the fact that you overturned Roe versus Wade means that your conservative Supreme Court is in the crosshairs and been coming for you. And again, when the Democrats take over in November, the Supreme Court is not going to look the same for that much longer. Mark my words. We're going to talk about that in the future. And if you guys want to have that conversation with me, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.
By dollar, what are the top 3 causes of improper payments, waste, fraud, and abuse in SNAP?
Number 1 would be eligibility errors.
Wrong. It is improper payments. Exactly. 39% of SNAP beneficiaries are children under 18 years old. Not fraudsters, children. 10% people living with disabilities, 20% older adults over 60. The vast majority of SNAP recipients are not committing fraud. They are children, they are people living with disabilities, and they are seniors.
Elon Musk and Doge cut 3.5 million people off of food stamps last year under the guise of waste, fraud, and abuse. Democrat Melanie Stansbury goes to the Doge subcommittee on SNAP, and it's paneled by a bunch of SNAP experts. She asks them various questions, and their answers show their lack of knowledge, their lack of empathy, and how these guys ended up here is beyond me. Take them to task, Melanie.
Lady Stansbury, you're recognized, ma'am.
All right. Well, I appreciate the conversation. I always find these conversations about public benefits interesting, especially as somebody who grew up in a low-income family in a low-income community. I always find it fascinating to hear how people talk about low-income people. But let me just start out with some facts. Can any of our panelists here answer the question, by dollar, what are the top 3 causes of improper payments, waste, fraud, and abuse in SNAP? Nobody wants to volunteer? Top 3.
Number 1 would be eligibility errors.
Wrong. It is improper payments. It's improper payments. It's an intentional SNAP fraud. And the third is criminal organizations who are actually explicitly stealing people's SNAP benefits. That is what is the top 3 causes of SNAP fraud and the loss of federal taxpayer dollars. It's actual criminal organizations. Does anyone on the panel know what the penalties are for committing SNAP fraud? Raise your hand. Anyone know? Yep, please, Ms. Royale.
There are different penalties. An individual who is found guilty of committing SNAP fraud is subject to criminal prosecution, incarceration, fines, and restitution.
Yep, so it's
somebody who is found guilty of an intentional program violation is subject to disqualification, either 12 months, 24 months, permanent, or a 10-year, other special disqualification penalties.
Excellent, yes. And in fact, in some cases with extreme fraud can be up to $250,000 and 20 years in prison. All right, who can answer about what the average individual receives per month in SNAP benefits? Ms. Platanino.
For household 2, it's less than $320 a month.
And about per person, what would you say?
It's about $200.
Yeah, so it depends on the household and the beneficiaries, but when you average it out, according to the USDA, it comes out to between about $174 and $177 per person per month. And so when you break that down, that's about $6 a day, right? $6 a day. Can anyone answer who is the #1 beneficiary of SNAP benefits? Ms. Platanino.
Retailers, because the money goes straight into the retailers' stores and then goes and offers up into the local economy, raising taxes and increasing wages.
But in terms of the actual beneficiaries, in terms of the people who receive the SNAP benefits, but yes, the economic downstream impacts.
Yes, it's children followed by older adults and people with disabilities.
Exactly. 39% of SNAP beneficiaries are children under 18 years old. Not fraudsters, children. 10% people living with disabilities, 20% older adults over 60. The vast majority of SNAP recipients are not committing fraud. They are children, they are people living with disabilities, and they are seniors. Now, I'm gonna save you, because I know many people have, don't wanna share this publicly, But I would ask if any of you have actually been on SNAP benefits. And I want to say publicly, there's no shame in being on SNAP benefits because it is a program that was created to help people who are struggling. It's to help grandparents who are taking care of children. It's to help take care of kids who are in the foster care system. It's there so that when a mom goes through a divorce and she loses her job and is having a hard time, she can take care of her kids. That's what the SNAP program exists for. It is a bridge. It doesn't even cover the cost. I would like to know, can any single person on this panel feed your family for $174 a month? Anybody? Can anybody in this room feed your family for $174 a month? Anybody? Not a single hand in the room? Yeah, okay. This is not a joke, my friend. Let's get real here. There is actual waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. It's criminal activity. It's activity that is just like every single financial system out there. There are bad people who take advantage of financial systems. But the vast majority of beneficiaries of this program are seniors, children, and people living with disabilities. And when you make it harder for them to access benefits, then it means that they go hungry. They skip meals. They don't have access to food. They go to our food banks, who are already struggling because of the cuts that were put in this budget to cut other programs that put food to our food banks. And essentially, it leaves our people, our children, our seniors, our grandparents without access to food. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to work with you on bipartisan efforts to deal with criminal activity involving waste, fraud, and abuse in SNAP, but I will not support cutting programs for people who need them.
By this tragedy.
All right, this Doge panel is just a complete joke. Doge has been a complete joke from the beginning. They haven't, the national debt is going up right now. It's not going down, and it was going up before the war. So Doge didn't cut any holes in the national debt at all, if that was the point. All right. Next, like this panel, except for the one lady in the blue over there, they're just like MAGA coded. Like all they could say is that it's fraud. It's waste, fraud, and abuse. Like, dude, no, it's not, man. The majority of people getting SNAP need the money. They need the help. This waste, fraud, and abuse like tagline, that shit's got to go away. I'm tired of hearing about it. Great job for Melanie Stansberry here. She crushed it. She made these guys look like idiots that they are. And me personally, I support getting SNAP benefits to whoever needs it. Giving, someone $200 for food, that's not going to bankrupt the government. It's simply not going to happen. This reminds me of the chasm between Democrats and MAGA Republicans. Democrats want to give people that need food stamps. MAGA Republicans want to take away food stamps just in general. Take the representative from my area, for example, Daryl Issa. That guy voted against, he votes against SNAP benefits every single time. He also voted against the election in 2020 that he was elected in. So make that make sense. But yeah, Melanie did a great job of explaining SNAP benefits to a panel that does not know what they're doing. I'm sure they won't listen to her. So that doesn't really matter. But here's to the Democrats taking over at the midterms and getting this Doge shit out of the government, because this is a complete fraud. They're the waste, fraud, and abuse. Doge, that's for damn sure. Elon Musk went in there and just gutted a bunch of regulations so he can make more money unfettered by the government. So Doge, complete failure. SNAP benefits, huge help to the working class, huge help to America. Here's to SNAP getting the attention and the help that it deserves. So that's all I got for you guys today. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
The earthquake hit Venezuela early in the evening. Two massive quakes registering 7.2 and 7.5 in magnitude. Inside Bolivar International Airport, the powerful quakes are minutes apart. The worst affected, La Guaira, north of Caracas, building flattened, authorities calling it disaster zone. This is what was left of the 10-story Hotel Eduardo. Residents racing to get out of their buildings anywhere that was safe.
Truly terrifying. Venezuela hit with 2 earthquakes back to back, and the country, the city is just reeling. They're going to have thousands of people dead, even more thousands of people injured, and it's just gut-wrenching. Some of these images are gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, and it's just I live in California. I got to take notes because inevitably an earthquake like that will hit California. So just heartbreaking stuff. Let's go to Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez.
Que el estado más afectado.
I must inform you that the hardest hit state by this unprecedented seismic event is the state of La Guaira. There are tens of collapsed buildings and we're working hard to save as many lives as God allows us.
Unfortunately for Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez is a drug lord, oil dictator, only interested in enriching herself and trying to stay in Trump's good graces. So I don't have a lot of expectations for the Venezuelan president to really get on this. It's up to the people that live in that area. It's up to you to make it better and rescue your friends. Let's go to Better Minds and get a little bit more in-depth explanation about the earthquake from the BBC.
The earthquakes were right on the boundary of where the Caribbean and South American plates slide alongside each other. It was a sudden rupture along this boundary west of Caracas that unleashed the shocks. The first measured 7.2 on the magnitude scale, quickly followed by the second at 7.5. That seems like a small increase, but actually released 3 times the energy. These are both big shocks. The earthquake in Myanmar in March last year was 7.7 and led to the death of more than 5,400 people. The Venezuela shocks were relatively shallow at around 10 kilometres below the surface. These cause more damage because there's less distance between the energy release and the buildings on the surface. After a deadly quake in Caracas in 1967, the government began bringing in earthquake building codes, tightened sharply in recent decades. So the capital's most recently built tower blocks are engineered to withstand a quake like this. But the problem is 2/3 of the people who live in Caracas live in buildings not built to these standards. There have been several smaller aftershocks, and there are likely to be many more in the coming days and weeks. Palab.
Considering how much footage I'm getting of the aftermath, I'm looking for footage during the earthquake. That is so fascinating to me. So this first clip is going to be someone filming on an airplane that was about to take off when the earthquake occurred, and then the next video is some guy going down the street where you could hear the glass breaking and stuff just kind of exploding and breaking. Check it out. I would argue that some of the best, footage we're gonna get of the destruction and of this earthquake is from drone footage, and we'll start with this one right here. In the middle is one of the most fascinating images that I've seen, is these 3 buildings that got completely pancaked. If you're in that building when the earthquake happens, I would imagine that you're not only dead, but you're probably unrecognizable. And then you go over here on this beach place, completely pancaked. Everyone there is probably dead. This one up here on the far left, that one's like, look at it, completely just leaning against another building, it looks like. That building's done. And it's just the destruction here is shocking. There are some buildings that seem to have escaped destruction. But if let's say you're living in this building over here on the left, and everything around you is completely destroyed, are you gonna feel safe inside that building? No, hell no, you're not, dude. Everything here is wasted for the most part. So it's just top right. It looks like traffic's just moving. But yeah, these images are just shocking. You can tell in the buildings that are standing, like all the windows are broken. A lot of it's just destroyed. The destruction here is just shocking. Rescue efforts underway. I mean, I would imagine this just completely just stops your country. You can't really move forward, but these images are just kind of looks like Gaza. That's like my first thing I think is it kind of looks like Gaza. But one interesting thing, it does almost look like the country is still trying to operate, you know, as a country. Kind of hard to do that when so much of your city infrastructure has been destroyed by you know, a minute of earthquakes. Wow. Truly, it's truly a sight to see. Fire is raging as well too. Yeah, look at this building. Look how the one that's standing, like you can see how messed up it is. All right, now we got some helicopter footage of Caracas, Venezuela after the 2 earthquakes. Not the best image quality. But one thing that you will notice in all the buildings that are standing is all the buildings, all the windows and all that they're all completely destroyed. I do have a bunch of video of, you know, what happened during it. You can hear all the windows breaking, a lot of stuff just breaking. Well, as the caption says, this is a drone, but it sure seems like a helicopter. That's crazy. That building's crazy. Yeah, it says drone, clearly an earthquake. It doesn't matter how you really built the building, that amount of shaking and violence coming from the ground and energy, it's, you know, a lot of the buildings they're just not gonna make it. I mean, a lot of destroyed buildings, a lot of buildings still okay, believe it or not. But I don't know, this helicopter footage makes it kind of look like the damage is centered in one location, and that's this district in Caracas. Satellite images reveal buildings reduced to rubble. Oh, wow. Wow. That's rough. That's some Gaza territory right there. I mean, the shoreline here does look like a very nice place, minus the catastrophic earthquake. Whoa. Oh, that before and after, that was crazy. Those buildings are completely demolished. Yeah, these before and after are very fascinating. Before, let me see. It's not as bad as the other one. Wild image to see for sure. That is just intense. What we got? Oh no! Like those buildings held up a little bit better. I feel like you could really we could sense this destruction as a whole from the aerial footage we're looking at, but man, you really can't feel it. You're down on the ground and you're standing next to, you know, a 10-story building that collapsed on a bunch of people, and it's a pile of rubble is huge. Yeah, I guess if you're digging through rubble, you need to wear a helmet. And that guy's got wire cutters to cut through wire, you know, the wire and the rebarb and things like that. Interesting though. Yeah, you do need a helmet. Not everyone has a worker's helmet, so you just wear your bike helmet. Just digging through it with a shovel. A giant building collapses and you're digging through it with a shovel. It's gonna take a while. Easy. Just crazy. All the DirecTV satellites. It's interesting. It looks like it got bombed. Like a building from Ukraine. That's what I was saying. Like even the ones that are standing, I don't know how you could live in that building moving forward. And I would imagine a lot of people are. I think she's saying she doesn't know where her loved ones are. Oh, that is a dead body on a mattress. Can't even drive around the city. There's so much shit in the street. Well, in front of every building, you have people just sitting down on boxes, just looking at the building because their loved ones are in the building, and you can't get to them. Can you? It's hard to imagine what that feeling is. Yeah, every building, you got people with chairs just posted up, just looking at the building. Nobody attending to that building. Look at the cracks in the street. That is some Hollywood shit. That pile of rubble is insane. Insane. How are you going to find anybody alive in there? How many people die like trying to rescue people in rubble like that? So those people, oh God, those people standing on top of that structure looks like shit too. Dude just standing on top of the rubble, just taking some crazy video. Got a coping saw. So 2 earthquakes, one right after another. The footage on the plane of those people like recording during the earthquake and how much the airplane shook shows how just violent that earthquake really was. I'm going to continue to scour the internet and get whatever footage I can during the earthquake, because there was people inside of those buildings that were pancaked that were probably recording. They probably got out and started recording, you know, after the first one or during the first one. So there's got to be more interesting footage of people filming during the earthquake, which is just terrifying and it's heart-wrenching, and people don't deserve to go through things like that. One thing that is fascinating is I was literally just thinking about, wow, California hasn't seen a major earthquake in a long time. I live in California. So, you know, a few days later for there to be such a massive earthquake in Venezuela is just terrifying. It really is. This is a real heart-wrenching stuff. Another point is that Trump, the same day that this happened, Trump went out and said, hey, we're going to send help and aid over there. Natural disasters happen in countries all the time, and Trump doesn't pledge aid. So the fact that he's pledging aid, he's doing it for 2 reasons. Number one, we have a vested interest in this. He went over there, he kidnapped the dictator, and now this government with Delcy Rodriguez is doing whatever Trump wants them to do so that he doesn't kidnap her as well. I would imagine. And then I would imagine they're stealing oil. We don't have that confirmed, but Trump's stealing oil. Otherwise, why would he care about Venezuela? He wants the oil from there. Let's be real. I hate to like bring politics into this, but this is my channel. This is what we're talking about. And I'm glad that Trump pledges to help, and we're going to send crews over there. We're going to send money over there. Maybe he should give back their oil money, but that's a conversation for another day. So hopefully the United States does send aid over there. It's sounding like we're going to, and the rest of the world will as well. And here's to things getting better for Venezuela in the near future. I'm going to be scouring the internet for more live action footage of this earthquake because it's fascinating. And when I get more, I'll make sure I bring it to you guys. And if you guys want to see that footage, like, share, and subscribe, comment. We'll have a conversation. It'll be fun. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Well, congratulations, Obama. You had the most overtime, longest, and most over-budget presidential center in history. Well done. Well done. Oh, my goodness. You have set so many records.
The government didn't pay for it.
It doesn't. But if we're talking how long it took. Because you know what? It's just speaking more largely to how like grandiose and out of touch Obama is throughout this process. I think that George W. Bush is one of the cutest national treasures of a leader we've ever had. Clinton certainly doesn't have it. Hillary doesn't have it. So they keep bringing Obama out, and then he makes these speeches.
Who's they? Obama,
Democrats.
But Obama is celebrating his own presidential library. That's why he's speaking this for this occasion that we're discussing.
Yes, I understand what you're saying there. But
he brought himself out.
Lindsey Granger is a saint for putting up with this shit. She has to deal with Robbie Schwab, who is a gay libertarian that just loves Donald, that steelmans everything Donald Trump does. And now when he's not there, she has this just complete MAGA sycophant and a poster child for Obama derangement syndrome. And she goes on this absolute rant about Obama's milquetoast speech. It is unhinged. And this hate for Obama needs to be studied. I'm pretty sure it's just racism, but man, this is some wild stuff. Take a look, guys.
Belief in the intrinsic dignity and worth of all people, and that no one is above the law or beneath its protection. a belief in checks and balances in our government, and an accountability that comes with it, an independent judiciary, and a robust free press. A belief that our military and law enforcement owe allegiance not to any president or political party, but to the people and our Constitution.
That all sounds above water to me. Typical Obama speech. It's not negative. They're not attacking. He's not attacking anybody. He's just, you know, a presidential speech. That is what it's supposed to sound like.
President
it's
Obama
nice
took
to get
some
back to
veiled
that.
shots at President Trump during his remarks at the opening of the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago. Here's some more of his remarks.
A belief in the peaceful transfer of power after the people have spoken in fair and free elections, recognizing that in a large, complicated society like ours, no group or faction gets its way 100% of the time. And a belief that qualities of character, honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, a sense of duty and honor, those things matter in our public dealings, just as they do in our private lives.
All right, I take back what he said. He is attacking Trump right here. But, you know, he's not calling him a vermin, you know, a Democrat, an enemy of the people. Like this is what presidential political, speak is supposed to look like. And the way Donald Trump has been doing it it's ridiculous. And I miss this so much.
Well, one thing that actually just on the front end of this, they're now putting that ballistic glass in front of all presidents when they do outdoor.
Yeah, it's because of all of Trump's fake assassination attempts, and the ones that were real were done by right wingers. Just
Did you notice that they had the glass?
I didn't know that it wasn't. I guess I didn't know that it wasn't.
They hadn't been doing that. They hadn't been doing that previously in that same fashion. That's a direct indication of what has been happening in our times with President Trump, all those assassination attempts. Anyways, I saw that and that kind of stood out to me in a way that I didn't expect to see, like, oh my goodness. Well, congratulations, Obama. You had the most overtime, longest, and most over budget presidential center in history. Well done. Well done. Oh my goodness. You have
the disdain in that statement that she just said. Like, I could feel it. It feels like it's oozing of just envy and hate.
I've said so many
that's
records.
gross.
It doesn't, but if we're talking how long it took, because you know what? It's just speaking more largely to how like grandiose and out of touch Obama is throughout this process. But
he's calling Obama grandiose. Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of an attack is that when your guy is Trump? That's fucking insane.
In that speech. One, I really like when I see all the former presidents get together, just because I actually really love the sweet relationship that George W. Bush and Michelle Obama.
Yeah, you know who wasn't there? Trump.
I have.
Because nobody
I think
likes
that George
Trump.
W. Bush is one of the cutest national treasures of a leader we've ever had. I love when I see him and First Lady Laura Bush come out. That just like makes my heart so happy. But here for Obama, he's doing what
No issue with the war crimes or starting a war. You think Bush is our cutest president?
he's always done. And
Neocon
Democrats
piece of
don't have a
shit.
leader right now. So they're gonna, Obama's opening, they always keep bringing him back out. He's like their favorite flavor because he's the only Democrat that still seems to have any level of goodwill across the country, even in the party, let alone with the American public. People certainly don't want to see Joe Biden. Heck, Jill Biden left him for dead on that stage right there. She walked off the stage and Joe stood there confused about where to go. But he doesn't have it. Clinton certainly doesn't have it. Hillary doesn't have it. So they keep bringing Obama out, and then he makes these speeches.
Who's they? Obama,
Democrats.
But
They
Obama is
Democrats.
celebrating his own presidential
Right,
library. That's
but
why
this
he's speaking this for this occasion that we're discussing.
Yes, I understand what you're saying there, but
He brought
this
himself
is-
out.
This is not the only instance. So let's not be demeaning about that comment I just made.
No, he hasn't been. He hasn't been on the campaign trail. He popped up here and there.
He
Obama
was,
hasn't been-
he was for Biden, and when it comes to attacking Trump, the only Democrat that they like to seem to trot out is Obama, and he did it again in this moment. They didn't trot him out, but he did it again. He couldn't help himself, even in a moment, to not have to try and do this again. And so again, we're having this conversation not because the presidential library opened, but because he made comments about President Trump, and he's the one Democrat that has any goodwill that they believe left. So they keep I guarantee you, he will be out again. He goes out against the president. He goes and does interviews, and they bring him out to political events. So it's not that he's sidelined. He's the only Democrat leader that they keep bringing out. So for him to do that, I don't think that was the right move there. Talk about yourself. Talk about the goodwill. Let's move it forward. You're not running again. Knock it off.
What the hell kind of argument or criticism was that even? She's saying that Obama's like too political in his speeches. Is that what she's saying? I can't quite, steelman her argument. And she's also saying that Democrats have nobody else but Obama, so we keep trotting him out. Like, It was the opening of his own presidential library. Like, who else is going to go speak at this event? You want Bernie Sanders to go speak there? You want AOC to go speak there? Like, this woman is just blinded by her absolute hatred for Barack Obama. And she's saying that she's calling out Barack for like vaguely, criticizing Trump. Trump constantly talks about Obama every day, multiple times. Trump's talking about, Barack Hussein Obama. And he says Hussein because Hussein is the same first name as the leader of Iraq. And it invokes some hatred in MAGA and right wingers. Like, what the fuck is this woman talking about? She's absolutely insane. For this video, I was going to research who she is and what her name is and where she's been. Who fucking cares? She's not going to be on this show much longer. And if she is on this show much longer, this shit's going to get canceled because no one wants to listen to this stupid bitch go on about her racism.
Well, I think president, unlike J.D. Vance, who's been also seen everywhere talking about things related to America 250 in his book, has took the time to say things like Democrats are not patriotic enough and not grateful for this country.
And I
Obama
disagree with that.
Yes, and Obama didn't point to
He doesn't disagree with that.
Republicans
What the
or
hell
say
is
anything.
that?
He had Republicans sitting in that audience that you pointed out have a great relationship with he and his family. He talked about humanity, dignity, moral fiber, some way that we need to govern ourselves. He talked about the fact that we need to get back to a sense of center in this country that makes sure that we operate with those things that I just named. Like we cannot have a picture of a pen for a former president in that esteemed global position. We have an auto pen. We cannot be tweeting out messages every day, calling people dumb and out of their names consistently.
I forgot about that. Trump replaced Biden's picture in the White House, his portrait, which all presidents have, of a pen because it's like a nod to everything that Biden did was an auto pen. Like what kind of childish behavior is that?
Having
Good
some
Lord.
decency, and that was the thing
He can say that to
overall.
Hillary. He
Okay,
can say
but
that to Hillary.
my
Who
point is
calls
like
us deplorables.
my point is that, and I said that was wrong too. My point is that
They are
again, you
deplorables.
can bring up an example for everything. People allow the president and the behavior that's, if you objectively will view it, unprecedented, but if you're realistic, it's immature, and people will dismiss it from the president because that's just Trump and that's what we've gotten used to. And we should not get used to that. As I constantly say, it's not trying to be on some moral high ground. The president is the most powerful person in the world, and when they behave childishly and call people constantly out of their name and make a mockery out of certain things, they demean the institutions that demand respect around the world and specifically in this country. I mean, President Obama and Trump don't have a contentious relationship because of Obama. President Trump started saying—
No, it was because of Obama. It was the White House.
I'm in the middle.
It was the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
President Trump has been asking for the man's birth certificate, claiming that he wasn't born in America prior to that dinner. And so when somebody is being so dramatically offensive to you, you want to always reel them back in and remind them again that we can bring this country back to decency. And so this whole 250th anniversary, I hope that more people will speak like Obama. And I hope to hear Republicans speaking like that, saying, yes, let's bring it back to center. Moral decency is important in this moment as we celebrate the entire country.
If he's going to talk moral decency, talk to Biden too.
All right.
I don't know like what this woman's actual criticism of Obama is. Is she saying that he's too political? Is she saying that Democrats shouldn't have him at political rallies? Because this wasn't a political rally. This was an opening for his own center. So her being upset that he gave a speech at this thing is weird. And for her to be upset that she's talking politics is also weird. And for her to like be mad that he's criticizing Trump for not obeying the rule of law is also weird. Like you don't care about the rule of law. Like everything Trump's doing is on board. Like you can't seriously believe that. For her to have smoke for Obama being divisive when Trump said that Obama is not a real U.S. citizen, that he doesn't believe that he was born in the United States. There's nothing more divisive than that and nothing more racist than that. So you don't have any smoke for that, but you have smoke for Obama's very milquetoast speech. Like her brain is broken by MAGA. Like she seems like the one that the brain got broken when a black person was elected president. That's what I'm gonna say. This woman is racist as fuck. Her criticism of Obama make no sense, and the only conclusion you can come to is that she's racist because he's black. That's the only conclusion you can really come to because her criticisms don't make any sense. And she is not alone. There are millions of Americans that look at Trump and look at Obama and say Obama is corrupt and a criminal even more than Donald Trump. Like that is a broken brain, and I don't know if we're ever going to get through to these people. Like I really don't. So I don't know what we're going to do with MAGA when we have idiots like this going on national TV and making absolute fools of themselves and being totally okay with it. MAGA is a problem, and we got to get rid of Trump. We got to get rid of MAGA. I don't know how we're going to do it. Maybe I could talk with Kyle Kalinske about it because that guy's always seems to be ranting about Trump and MAGA. But yeah, something's got to change. But we can't have people Also, I just want to point out that I looked up this lady's name on the internet. I looked it up on Wiki. I looked it up on Google. Like, I just cannot find her name. And to be honest, her name doesn't matter. She's a MAGA sycophant. She has Obama derangement syndrome, and she's just an all-around racist, bigot, homophobe piece of shit. This lady sucks. And I'm pretty sure her media career will be over after this one unless Fox News picks her up. But Fox News is probably gonna have to pivot a little bit too here. So yeah, the future of MAGA is not looking good. The future of Trump's not looking good, which I support those things. But yeah, I think we're gonna have some dark times before it gets brighter. And these MAGA sycophants, these guys gotta go. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe. And also, if you guys have any criticism about how my videos are put together, about my commentary, feel free to leave a comment. And dude, I'm checking my phone all the time. So I'll have a full-on conversation with you. I would actually appreciate that. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
She thinks women shouldn't vote. Women shouldn't have the right to divorce. She thinks that women shouldn't be able to work. She says these
I didn't say
crazy
that.
things
Now you're putting words in
about
my
Hitler.
mouth.
But there's
Now you're
no
putting words in my
rational.
mouth.
Please don't interrupt. There's no rational argument with someone like this.
Why can't we talk about them without getting kicked off of YouTube? Now, I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I kind of want to know why. Now, there's all these conspiracy theories, and the more they talk, I think maybe they're right. But I can't even listen to the convo.
Is Pearl Davis the dumbest woman in the conservative media space? Let's go to the worst, best show on the internet, Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis is the self-styled anti-feminist influencer who's creating major buzz online with a contrarian view. She's appeared in a couple of debates on this show. It's called Uncensored after all. We welcome any honestly held opinions. But this week, she's facing a major backlash by posting a song titled Why Can't We Talk About the Jews, which she dedicated to far-right commentator Nick Fuentes before later deleting it.
Why can't we talk about them without getting kicked off of YouTube? Now, I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I kind of want to know why. Now, there's all these conspiracy theories, and the more they talk, I think maybe they're right. But I can't even listen to the convo.
Well, Pearl joins me now, along with the New York author and founder of
The fuck was that, dude?
Goldstein over in the States.
Oh
Right,
my
Pearl,
God.
You've come on the show a couple of times, right? We've had some spirited debates about
Holy
feminism and stuff
shit.
like that. And I thought you made some
Fucking
good
weirdo.
points and it's got lots of traction. Then I wake up the other day and I see this thing that's trending involving you doing this
Why is she
song.
smiling like she's about to
And I
laugh?
couldn't really believe what I was watching. I didn't know. Why did you find it funny?
Huh?
Did you
He
find
finds
it
it
funny?
funny.
I mean, you know the backlash to it. I mean, you deleted it. You obviously thought you shouldn't have posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that? Genuine question.
I mean, the point was more about cancel culture and people getting kicked off of social media if you finished the song. It was more about, like, you can't talk about this topic without being canceled by the left and the right. I don't really have a strong opinion either way. It was kind of just like tongue in cheek. I didn't really expect it to get that crazy. It wasn't dedicated to anyone. I don't know why they say that, but that's not true.
I mean, Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist. He's a Holocaust denier. He said afterwards that you had dropped a diss track on the Jews, which he clearly took to be something which was, you know, mocking Jewish people, talking about, I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I want to know why. What do you want to know why?
Well, it was more like, why can't we talk about it? It wasn't like
Maybe talk
one
about
way
the
or
more
the
conspiracy theories you've heard about Hitler and the Holocaust, presumably.
I'm a fan of conspiracy theory. Like, you know, people
No
think I'm
shit.
part of the CIA. There's
No
a whole
shit.
conspiracy thing online. And, you know, I'm not for, like, silencing it either way. The point of the song isn't, like, I really have an opinion on the matter. It's more, I don't think we should ban people off of social media. So far so, that I don't even, like, I think it should be illegal to ban anybody off of social media unless they are inciting violence. That was the point of the song. I'm not really It was more like tongue-in-cheek.
But just to be clear, what are the conspiracy theories surrounding Hitler, which you feel the more you hear them, the more you're interested in them?
Well, I don't know because I can't hear them.
Huh?
I don't
know the ones. You know the ones that Nick Fuentes.
Well, I wasn't even talking about Nick. I was thinking of Ye, to be honest. I don't know why they put that Nick was the inspiration for that song. I was thinking of Ye.
You are aware of the big backlash to this and the deep upset from the Jewish community.
I certainly am now. I just posted that song and I woke up and I was like, article. I was like, golly.
Right, but are you sorry?
Crazy. You know, I think that, like, my whole point was that cancel culture is wrong. I'm not speaking one way or the other about the issues. My question is, why are we canceled for talking about certain topics?
So you would allow Holocaust deniers to have space on social media to promote Holocaust denials to millions of people? You have 2 million people who subscribe to your YouTube, right? That's a big audience of people.
I'm not at 2 million yet. I'd like to be.
Right, but you have a lot of people that follow you on various social media.
God damn it, that's so annoying. I'm like 8 months into YouTube and social media for this, this channel, politics. And I have on YouTube, I have like 172 subscribers, and I've had to fucking claw and scratch for those 172 subscribers. I don't even know who those people are. They don't even watch my videos. Like it's been brutal. And this stupid, racist, xenophobic, every word in the book has 2 million followers. This piece of shit, Pearl Davis, has 2 million followers. Like, God damn it, it's fucking disappointing. Oh, the internet. I'll figure this thing out eventually.
Yeah.
You put a video like that up, and there are going to be some impressionable young minds going, hang on, what's Pearl saying? Adolf Hitler? Not saying he's a good guy, but I want to know why. The more conspiracies theories I hear, the more I have to think about it.
But
I took that to mean that you agree with Fuentes.
Why did you cut off the end of the song? I said, but we can't even have the conversation.
What is the conversation you want to have?
Without being canceled by the left and the right. The point is any speech.
I think
it's not any speech.
It's not any speech. What is the conversation about Hitler and conspiracy theories and the Holocaust that you want to have?
I don't want to have any conversation. My lane is feminism. That's what
you're singing about Adolf Hitler.
Can I finish?
Yeah, but you are singing about Hitler.
Okay.
So you do want to have that conversation.
I want anybody that wants to speak on social media to be able to speak about what they want to talk about.
So he asked her earlier, what conspiracies are you talking about? That was like a few minutes ago. And then he just re-asked Pearl, what do you want to talk about with regards to conspiracies and the Holocaust? And she keeps on, well, I'm a feminist. Like, dude, that's not.
Including Holocaust
without
denial.
Getting banned. Whatever they want to talk about.
Including Holocaust denial.
If they want to talk about that, as long as they're not inciting violence, I think people.
Of course they're inciting violence. They're inciting a hatred of Jewish people.
Social media is the new town square, right? You used to be able to go and say your opinions in the town square. Now we have corporations censoring what can and cannot be said. And I think that's wrong. I think that should be illegal.
Well, let me bring in Brooke, who's been listening to this. Brooke, I don't think...
you would have to vote to change anything like that. But Pearl, you don't want women to vote. So do you vote, Pearl? Interesting.
Pearl quite understands why the wording of this song, which she deleted, to be clear, so obviously realised this had not played out maybe the way she hoped. The offence it's caused to the Jewish community. Why was it so offensive?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on and for highlighting this issue, not necessarily highlighting Pearl, but highlighting the issue that what you pointed out is that we're really facing a crisis of societal conscience, where someone like Pearl, who engages in hate speech, and actually the irony is she's complaining about being canceled, and yet she's on your platform. She has millions of viewers on the internet and on social media, and she's complaining about being canceled. The crisis is that this is what is profitable now. This clickbait, this type of racial incitement is profitable on the internet. And, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to Pearl. I don't know if she's just plain stupid or she's actually quite intelligent and knows that what she's doing is so sensational that it's going to make her a lot of money. But I want to say one thing, Pearl will disappear. She will disappear, like many others before her, because this is something that's just a moment in time. She's like a train wreck. It's like a car crash. For example, you shouldn't be looking at it, but you can't take your eyes off it. But I want to make one more point. I think it's so important, especially on this platform. Hatred is taught. Nobody is born like this. And I talk about it a lot in my book about the dangers of hate education. And it's not something that we can debate, that we can engage in a rational argument with. You can see what her opinions are. She thinks women shouldn't vote, women shouldn't have the right to divorce. She thinks that women shouldn't be able to work. She says these crazy things about Hitler. But there's no rational, please don't interrupt. There's no rational argument with someone like this. And this is a mistake mistake that my community makes, the Jewish community, very often, that they think they can bring facts to the table, that they can debate somebody like Pearl, and it's, you're going to get somewhere. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get somewhere only by shedding the light on this type of bigotry to expose someone like her.
Let me just
the crazy person that she is.
All right, bro. Let me go back to Pearl. Pearl, let me just offer you some advice, right? Because I don't think you're stupid. And in the 2 appearances you've made previously on this program, I thought it was interesting. It was controversial in some ways, but actually a lot of people would have agreed with some of the things he was saying. There's no question about that. But you seem to know where the line was. Someone like Nick Fuentes doesn't know where the line is. Someone like Kanye West, who I interviewed after he went on some weird anti-Semitic trope nonsense. Kanye's been wiped out by what he did, by what he said about the Jewish people, because there are certain things where I am absolutely in support of the concept of free speech, right? But you
just want to point out that Kanye's not gone because of what he said about Jews. Kanye's gone because he's fucking crazy. Like, you're allowed to say shit about the Jews and not get canceled. Like, look at like Randy Fine, for example. Look at the Trump administration. But dude's still Kanye is just a psychopath.
Can't go around telling Jewish people the Holocaust didn't happen as Fuentes. And people like Fuentes does say things like that.
But I'm not him. So you're bringing me up. So it's like
when you sing a song.
Right.
And you talk about
who determines what the line is, Pierce?
Well, I'm asking
who determines? Do you get to determine it? Does she get to determine it? Who gets to determine what the line is?
The people that own the social media companies get to determine the line. It's their company. They put the money into it. They built it. They get to determine the line. Look at look at TikTok, for example. On TikTok, you can't. I don't even know what you could say on TikTok. Like when you go on the lives or whatever, like it's very unclear what gets you banned. And then go to X and you could say literally anything on X. So like the difference between the companies are stark, but I don't hear you saying that we need to take down X. I hear you more talking about taking down Facebook because they agree with you less. So that argument sucks, especially from the right wing.
In your head,
I'm saying
you're not a stupid person. When you say, I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I want to know why. Right? When you talk about the more conspiracy theories about him I hear, the more I'm like, well, that's interesting. I'm just like agog that even now you don't seem to really grasp why singing that and releasing it to millions of people is incredibly offensive to Jewish people.
I think at the end of the day, Pierce, I don't think it's for you to determine what speech should be allowed and not allowed.
What about you determining? Why did you delete it?
Why did I delete it?
Yeah.
Because it was just a headache, Pierce.
Because you knew it was wrong?
I just think it's like, it's not the hill I'm trying to die on.
Right, but why did you choose that hill to die on?
I didn't choose this hill to die on.
You did. You released the video.
I also released 10 different videos about 10 different topics.
But they're not talking about Adolf Hitler, are they?
Are we not allowed to talk about him?
You can talk about Hitler right to the point you say the more conspiracy theories I hear about him.
Look, I think that anyone should be allowed to speak about any conspiracy theory on social media. That is my point. It's not about Hitler. It's not about
If you really believe what
Holocaust.
you did wasn't wrong, you wouldn't have deleted it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Don't you think?
Hold on.
Not about Hitler. It's not
If
about
you really
the
believe what you
Holocaust.
did wasn't wrong, you wouldn't have deleted it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Don't you think?
I agree with Pearl.
Jesus, dude.
Go on, bro.
If I may just say one thing, as an attorney, I have to say that I do agree with her, that I am a free speech purist. And I think that even bigotry should be able to be spoken in the public sphere. But the problem of cancel culture is not against anti-Jewish speech. I think that's very clear. We see the scourge of anti-Semitism and Jew hatred rising on the internet. The problem is that there's no consequences for it. And the way that private companies
How are there no consequences for it?
Canceling is they're going after
saying.
pro-Jewish speech. They're going after pro-Israel speech. I can't tell you how many times I'm contacted by people, and often my own clients, who are shut down on social media for saying anything positive about Jewish people, about Judaism, or about Israel. Yet these social media companies are unequally applying their own standards. And, while they're, for example, shutting down COVID deniers, they are allowing Holocaust denial speech. They are allowing people like Pearl to spew her hatred. So if we are really free speech purists, and that's what we are saying that companies should do, they should allow all speech.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, I would just say this to you, Pearl.
Unless it's incitement to immediate violence.
They're not free speech theorists.
So we agree.
No,
Wow.
Pearl, I would say this to you in conclusion.
We're all on the same team now.
In conclusion, look, you deleted this, so you clearly felt bad about what you'd put up, or you wouldn't have deleted it. You accept that?
No.
You don't accept it?
I just, it's kind of a headache. I was like, well, it just seems like a lot of headache to me.
Right, or did you realise actually in that moment, from the visceral reaction from the Jewish community, you crossed a line that you yourself should have worked out was there?
Look, at the end of the day, Pierce, the song was about freedom of speech. It wasn't one way or the other. The song was about why can't we have these conversations on social media, and why do I keep getting...
About why Hitler may be a good guy.
And why do I keep seeing people get banned on social media? My point is, I don't think there should be a line unless you are inciting violence.
Here's a line.
Pierce, would we agree on that?
Listen,
yes or no? Yes or no? Would we agree?
Here's my point.
No, yes,
you haven't
no?
answered my question.
Okay.
I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I want to know why. I want to know why what?
We can't have the conversation without being canceled by the left and the right. I just don't understand why you guys cut out the end of the song.
Pearl.
You did 75. Okay.
The conversation about whether Hitler was a good guy. You want to have that conversation?
I think that
he murdered 12 million people,
my whole
including
point,
6 million Jewish people in the Holocaust.
My whole point is we should be able to have that conversation.
But whether he's a good guy?
Yes, because it causes more commotion when you're starting to censor people.
I don't agree.
I think that's wrong. I think it's
agree.
wrong to censor anybody.
Well, you know what? You can have that conversation. You had that conversation. You posted it. You haven't been cancelled. I've had you on the show because I thought you might, with time, to think about this, regret what you did, because you can clearly, you're not stupid. You do understand the offence it caused, and wanting to have the right to debate whether Hitler's a good guy is just cretinous.
No, I want anybody to be able to speak on any platform. That was the point of the song.
All right, let's leave it
Can
there.
I point out a nuance here?
Brooke, I'm sorry. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but thank you for coming on the programme. I greatly appreciate it. And Pearl, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Pearl Davis. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. I think the first thing, there might be two things going on here. The first thing is that she's dumb. Like, sometimes you could see intelligence in a person. So when a person's like super smart, you can feel that intelligence. But also when someone's super dumb, you can feel that intelligence. And when I look at Pearl, when I see her like having that uncomfortable smile, like I see a dumb person. So that's part of what's going on here. The other part is she wants to be a woman in the conservative media space. It's a weird space in general, but especially for women. So you know, a woman in a conservative space has to be like Erica Kirk, like a trad wife. Like, you have to have children. You're not really supposed to work. You're supposed to be against women voting, which is weird because Pearl's in the conservative political media space and she says that women shouldn't vote. That reminds me of progressive friends that haven't voted since 2016 because Bernie Sanders isn't on the ticket. But anyway, so yes, she's a conservative woman that speaks about all the conservative ideals, you know, be subservient to men, don't vote, not necessarily supposed to work. And it's interesting because she's not married. She doesn't have kids. So a lot of the conservative values, she's not overly religious. So a lot of the conservative values that she's supposed to be espousing by, that's not her. This is a childless cat lady as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, just the constant talking shit on women and degrading women as a woman is very interesting. And yeah, she speaks highly of Hitler often, and she speaks against Jews often, and she speaks very fondly of Nick Fuentes. Just a very confused person. She just needs someone to shake her a little bit, and it might be a man. She needs to beat her ass a little bit, like Lauren Southern. But this woman's lost without a cause right now. The conservative women are fucking losing it right now. I also made a video about some of the women that are directly involved in Turning Point USA, and it's basically the same story. They are just absolutely lost right now. So go ahead and check out that other video. I just I uploaded that yesterday. So yeah, once this video is uploaded, that one will have come out the day before. That's how YouTube works. So if you guys are interested in that video, and also if Pearl has another super embarrassing interview, I'll be sure to bring it to you guys. She recently did just have one, but it wasn't as interesting as this one, so we're not even talking about it. But for the next one, I'll make sure I bring it to you guys. If you guys want to see that, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
I don't think women should vote anyways. If somebody asked me, if the government was like, okay, if we could have a more conservative country, if all women gave up their vote, I would gladly give up my right to vote to have a more conservative country.
There's a lot of churches that talk about it.
Stone argues that women voters are too liberal, so the U.S. should shift to a one vote per household system.
You guys might have heard of a trad wife before. A trad wife is a traditional wife. It's a woman that stays home, wears the apron, does the dishes, cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids, has kids, doesn't vote, doesn't work, doesn't talk back to the husband, basically a second-class citizen. So the conservative movement, more religious side, believes in this, that women shouldn't vote. So the conservative movement is having a tough moment right now because a lot of them, the really conservative side, are like, women shouldn't vote. And then the other women on that side are like, maybe I should vote. And they're also all don't know what MAGA even stands for anymore. So it's very fascinating. Let's take a look inside the women of Turning Point USA.
Nice to meet you. Are you planning on voting in the midterms? The people that voted for Trump are just very fed up. Both my husband and I are really disappointed.
What
is the number one motivating factor for you when you decide, who you're going to vote for?
I don't want to party.
I'm telling you, man, that lady lives in Pacific Beach. I think her son worked at my bar, man. I think this is her, dude.
That's gonna tell my son he can cut off his penis.
Your plan is to vote Republican?
Yes. The Republican Party is the party of freedom.
Okay.
These are some of the voters that Donald Trump and his Republican Party desperately need in order to hold on to power. Conservative, mostly Christian women at a leadership summit hosted by Turning Point USA. The right-wing
music.
advocacy group led by Erica Kirk after the assassination of her husband, Charlie Kirk.
Love you guys.
Turning Point is influential with young voters. President Donald Trump has credited the organization with helping him get reelected and bringing more young voters into the conservative movement.
It's such a great place to be in here in America, is being young, being a female, being conservative. They all just play hand in hand together.
But fractures in this movement are emerging. A main stage headliner is no longer backing Trump or Republicans, saying she won't vote in the midterms.
He made it seem like everything was going to become more affordable. Now the economy's worse. He promised no more.
What the fuck is going on with this lady's face? She has this orange tint to her face. Look at her neck and then look at her face. Beautiful woman. Absolutely beautiful woman. She doesn't need any plastic surgery. She needs nothing, and she needs way less makeup. She probably looks beautiful without makeup. But like, this is what we call Mar-a-Lago face. You get the plastic surgery, which I'm not saying she has a bunch of plastic surgery, but a copious amounts of makeup, and she looks orange. That's Donald Trump's, hallmark. Like, make sure your face is a different tint than the rest of your body. This woman's doing it.
Wars in the Middle East, and we are in a war. So it's disappointing. Thank you so much.
Savannah Stone is a 21-year-old trad wife influencer with 800,000 followers on social media. She is a rising star in Christian conservative circles, even though she embraces highly controversial fringe positions.
I'm going to start this off really strong. I don't think women should vote anyways. If somebody asked me, if the government was like, okay, if we could have a more conservative country, if all women gave up their vote, I would gladly give up my right to vote to have a more conservative country.
There's a lot of churches that talk about it.
Well, if we do have a more conservative country, you won't be voting anyway. So if you want to not vote, why don't you just not vote now? Like, that's the fuck, dude. That she's so beautiful, but how is she so stupid? It's crazy.
Stone argues that women voters are too liberal, so the U.S. should shift to a one vote per household system.
Now, is that a hill I'm going to die on and run for office and try to complete? No. That's not my main message. That's just one of the opinions that I hold, because I think that would be better for society.
I actually do agree with her. I would as well give up my vote if it got rid of things like abortion.
We spoke with several women open to giving up their own rights in pursuit of a more Christian conservative America.
My perspective as a Christian woman is that my husband and I are one flesh. I vote the same way he does, so honestly, I would be okay with giving up my right to vote, because I know that he would represent me well.
If my husband's the head of the household, I am the neck, and we work very cohesively together. So I would imagine if he was voting on behalf of our household, I would be fine with that.
Do you think your daughter should have the right to vote?
I'd be okay if she didn't, because I also know she's going to marry a biblical man, that they would also be in line.
Why don't
But
you
the
all just
vast
stop
majority
voting?
of women here say this remains a conversation for the fringe.
I think the best thing that we can do is hold conferences like this to educate liberal women and hopefully sway them to the conservative side.
I think women should be voting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give up my right to vote ever.
And most women we spoke with plan to.
So the leader of the conference is saying, I would gladly give up my vote, but she votes. And then some of the women, half of the women are like, yeah, I don't need to vote, but you vote. And then the other half of the women are like, I'm not giving up my vote. What the fuck, dude? What is happening?
Exercise their right to vote in the midterm elections. Most plan to support Republican candidates. Most are united by their socially conservative views.
You know, it's all about the love.
It's the transgender agenda. It's the, I don't feel like schools need to be teaching, go back to reading, writing, arithmetic.
What is the number one motivating factor for you when you decide, who you're going to vote for?
I don't want a party that's going to tell my son he can cut off his penis. I don't want to vote for a party that tells whites they don't matter.
This is no place for Turning Point USA.
They promote bigotry, they promote racism, they promote, things that we're against as human nature.
Wherever this movement is headed, expect protests to follow.
Are we having fun yet?
Some demonstrators outside this event dressed as characters from The Handmaid's Tale, the dystopian book and TV series, to make their point.
I have a problem with them trying to persuade people that their goal in life as a woman is to keep house and raise babies.
What? You want to come say something to me, sweetheart? Yeah, I will.
Tensions here are raw. All of it yet another example of the deeply polarized politics of the moment.
Women hold up half the sky, Charlie Kirk deserves to die.
Look, the protesters are exactly correct. Like, basically the woman that was running this event, Erica Kirk, their trad wives, where their job is to be subservient to their husband and just have kids and raise a family. Like, you don't talk back to your husband, you don't vote, your husband votes, you don't get to make money. Basically they're trying to push women back to how women's role was in the household back like in the 50s or even like before that. So yeah, they're trying to conserve the fact that women had less rights back in the day. And it's crazy to see women doing this. Like, I understand Charlie Kirk doing it, but like women doing it, Erica Kirk pushing for women not to vote, that's something. All right. True.
These protesters' shouts infuriating some inside the Women's Summit.
Happiness comes and goes, and I pray that you find it.
Motivating others to push ahead, create the change they seek.
So this is a conservative woman. Like, they want conservative women. Let me get this straight. Conservative women. Okay, let's just take the women in this room. Half of them don't want women to be able to vote. The other half want to vote. So half of them don't want women to vote, but they're at a political action conference. And then the other half want to vote, but they're hanging out with a bunch of women that want to take away their right to vote. The fuck? And then also, like, the conservative movement in general is not nice to women. Like, how many women are in the cabinet? Well, there is a few. That's a bad example, but like, Trump hates women, dude. What are all the reporters that are getting bagged on by Trump? What are they? They're women. Are there any highlights really of Donald Trump like bagging on a male reporter? Not really. Like, we just saw Peter Doocy or Steve Doocy, whatever his fucking name is. He bagged on Trump right to Trump's face, and he just kind of took it. If that was a woman, he would have freaked out. He'd have been, listen, piggy. So anyway, yeah, women, like conservative women, have to understand you are a second-class citizen. Charlie Kirk preached for this shit, dude. You're a woman. You need to stay home and raise the kids. And then you got Erica Kirk, who was a trad wife. She stayed at home. She wasn't in public ever. Like, she was the trad wife, and her husband got killed, and now she's like at the head of Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk would have never wanted a woman at the head of his political action conference. Absolutely fucking not. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have like Lauren Southern, who was a trad wife, and she was super proud of it for years. And then, I don't know, her husband was probably beating her ass, and she realized that this shit's stupid. So Conservative women are super lost. The other thing that was interesting in this is that the woman in the beginning said that, first of all, she said she thinks women shouldn't vote, but also she's not going to vote in the next election because she doesn't know what to do. Like Trump is doing a lot of the shit he said he wasn't going to do. He's not following through on his promises. So how do you even vote for a guy that didn't do any of the shit that he said he was going to do? So even MAGA understands that. So what she said was she wasn't going to vote in the midterms. So that's what I think is going to really make the midterms work for the Democrats, is that I think MAGA and Republicans they're just not going to vote. Democrats going to vote. We're very motivated, but MAGA's probably just not going to vote in the midterms. And that's how the Democrats will end up taking over, is MAGA's just going to sit this one out and they're going to lose everything. And it's going to be so sweet. And when that happens, I will bring it to you guys. And if you guys want to see that, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
So Trump says they're never going to be able to enrich this uranium. And if they do, I'm going to blow the hell out of the whole country. Okay. Are you willing to take him at his word? Hold on.
No.
There you go. You're not willing to take him at his word. I am.
You're asking me for the specific name of people who put out documents before you'll believe what the Department of State did. But you just take the president at his word that he's going to blow up Iran if they start playing with uranium again.
Because that's
good enough for you.
It happens to do with his legacy. Okay, I need to know the context and what, because he just doesn't say sentences. He says long paragraphs.
All right, guys, Bill O'Reilly versus Chris Cuomo once again. I think they're friends, but I'm not entirely sure. But either way, the reason why Bill O'Reilly is still continuing to have a voice in the media space is because apparently, according to him, he calls Donald Trump and he talks to Trump on the phone. So if you have that kind of access to the president of the United States, no matter what happened in the past, like, you're still going to have a media presence. So Bill O'Reilly, classic MAGA boomer, is going to defend Trump on the Iran war, and Chris Cuomo is going to tear him to pieces. Let's go.
This and why the president says it is such a major win for America. How do you see it?
Well, this is Plan B. So Plan A didn't work. Plan A was kill the leadership and the people will rise up and we'll get rid of them once and for all. Didn't work. Was it worth a gamble? You know, they got a lot of credence out of it. You keep mentioning missiles. How many missiles do you think are in Iran? Do you know?
No clue, just like the U.S. government.
Well, why are you saying that the missiles then would be some kind of nefarious part of this agreement? Well, I don't.
Ask Israel.
This is not a good.
Ask Bahrain.
This is not a good deal for Israel. But I don't know of any U.S. intel person who believes that their missiles haven't been downgraded severely. I don't know of any. If you can find one, put them on. Number two.
Here's what we know. Okay. Not just the Wall Street Journal, which you say is the only fair newspaper in existence, but the Journal and other outlets have said we misunderstood how much they had been degraded, that their silos are able to be rebuilt very quickly. But that's not my point, Bill. I don't have to know the right answer. I'm not the president of the United States. But the president of the United States just said, I'm okay with them having missiles. How can I say Saudi Arabia can have them and they can't? Because one of them is an ally state and one of them is a terror organization.
Okay.
Bill, if a Democrat said that, your guys' heads would explode.
I don't have guys. I didn't hear him say that.
So, first of all, he said Cuomo called Iran a terrorist state. So Cuomo is a centrist, right? So he's got to play both sides on Newsnight. He calls himself a centrist, so he tries to play both sides. But in reality, he's a centrist, but leans pretty far left. But like saying Iran is, a terrorist organization is fucking stupid. But he gets almost everything right after that, though. And then O'Reilly saying he doesn't have people. Apparently, like he calls Donald Trump and just talks to Trump on the phone. That's his people, the liar of the United States. So he does have people.
On having missiles.
We just said it.
All right.
You just said it.
Didn't hear it.
Okay. He said it. I promise.
Okay. I need to know the context and what, because he just doesn't say sentences. He says long paragraphs. But let's get back to the whole situation. So this is Plan B. And then Plan B changed, and this always happens in war, because of the damage to the worldwide economy. And Trump made the calculation, look, I can't absorb this. That's why Herbert Hoover rose from the dead and risk a worldwide depression. Plus, I think that in the United States, oil prices will come down. They're down in the mid-70s now. It's a big drop from 104 last week. And Trump hopes that the economy is going to smooth out fast and Republicans will win the midterm. So that was a big calculation. So Plan B is underway. Now, you keep saying that there's no diminishment in Iran's pursuit of a nuclear weapon.
What the hell was that word salad he just put out there? That was just like stammering gibberish words. None of that meant anything. Jesus Christ, dude. Defending Trump losing this war and then surrendering to Iran, man, that is a tough fucking job, dude.
Based on what?
O'Reilly's career depends upon it. Actually, I feel like he's old now. He doesn't have that many more years left. Like, he could just now become a guy that used to be a Trump guy, and then I don't know. Can this guy go away already?
Who says
Based
that?
on this memorandum of understanding.
Well,
it's not even mentioned.
That. It says very clearly that Iran says it will not procure or build or do anything on the nukes ever again. Look, I don't believe
that's what
that.
they said in the JCPOA.
Okay, that's
what
fine.
they said a dozen times in different international agreements.
That's fine.
There's not even a single condition on what happens if they do in this. We'll see what happens in the ultimate deal.
Well,
but the president is saying it's better than the JCPOA bill. He says this document is better than that one.
I'm not going to get into that because that's a Democrat.
Of course not.
No, it's a Democrat-Republican thing. You say
no, it's not. It's
as
a
good.
bullshit thing, Bill.
No,
it's a bullshit thing. The JCPOA had a list of conditions and actions that had to be taken. This has none of that, Bill. It can't be as good as the JCPOA. It's not even close to it in its degree or its scope.
Look, he said quite clearly in his presser today that if Iran misbehaves and you'd have to put uranium enrichment in that category, he's going to blow them up. And
he said that 100 times.
Okay,
they're still there.
You don't believe anything he says.
He hasn't backed anything up. There's no reason to believe in anything he says. You admitted that he's a fucking liar. How's he not lying about any of this? He said that the war was over 40 times. We can't believe him. His word means shit.
You don't believe
anything and that makes me crazy.
The man, no.
And that makes me crazy.
You don't believe him. You don't want to believe him. You're never gonna believe him.
So it's because I don't like Trump. So it's I don't like Trump. It's not because of the facts. It's not that you'd say the same thing if it weren't Trump.
There are no facts. You haven't had.
There are no facts.
No, I'll give you one, and you're not going to be able to refute it. Okay.
Okay.
So, after Obama made the deal, the United States and all of the other NATO countries did not supervise the enrichment of uranium. It was not supervised at all. None. Okay, so Iran did what it did. Now, if you can bring in one person.
So the IAEA, Grassi, the guy you say you interviewed, IAEA, 3 months before Trump left the deal, said that they were majorly in compliance with the deal.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, 3 months before he left.
You got to get this guy on your program.
It's pretty convenient what you don't listen to.
I want to see the guy on your program.
Then, hold on, 3 months before he left. Hold on, 3 months before. You can just Google it. Type it right now while
Google anything. Get him on the
face.
show. Have him on the record.
I'm happy to get him on the show. I already know it's a matter of fact. 3 months before, they reported that Iran was in compliance with the deal. Trump leaves, and within 18 months, they're now enriching up to 80% to be pissed off about the sanctions and as payback. Trump exiting the deal created the situation that he said he had to fix. That's a fact.
The guy that I talked to said nothing like that, and he's a weapons inspector too. And I got him on the record. You get one guy that say that, and I'll concede.
Trump's State Department said it in 2018. Trump's State Department said it.
Who said it in the State Department?
The Secretary of State. The Department of State put out a statement that they were largely in compliance.
Pompeo? Who put it out?
Oh, so Pompeo, he wasn't the Secretary of State.
I'm asking.
Look, this is the problem that we're having right now with MAGA Republicans. Like, there's objective reality that occurs in this world, and MAGA just doesn't want to accept objective reality. They just want to do whatever is beneficial to Trump, even when it's like glaring. It's glaring that Bill O'Reilly is wrong here, and Chris Cuomo is bringing up just objective reality. And God, Bill O'Reilly's like, the State Department, what? No one believes anything the State Department says. Well, it was Trump's State Department. Well, who? Pompeo. Well, now they don't like Pompeo because Pompeo ran against Trump and he said negative things against Trump. Like, this is the problem with MAGA, is that we could literally bring them facts and reality, and they're like, no, that's not the reality. It's fucking maddening.
Who put it out?
The Department of State. It's an official thing. They gave a statement to Congress. Ben, give me who's on the letterhead that went to Congress from the Department of State.
That argument is fucking
I don't understand the point of your question.
Absolutely
Are you
absurd.
saying it wasn't the real Department of State? Or you just don't like it?
No.
Or you want to say you didn't hear about it?
I want the name of the person who came out and said.
Ben, who was on it? Just tell me and I'll send it. Not that this changes anything, but go ahead.
Of course it doesn't. Because you want to believe one thing, and the MAGA people want to believe another thing.
Let's do it this Bill, let's do it this way. No. Because the facts don't have sides, okay? If you want to say the Department of State didn't say that in 2018, fine.
I'm not saying, I'm saying who said it, and you don't know.
The Department of State. I don't have to have the name of the person who sent the letter to Congress. It comes from the U.S. government. I mean,
Then
come on,
tell
give me a break.
Who signed the letter? You
you are playing a silly
not
form
playing
of
anything.
gotcha.
I'm looking
so
for
you know, so when the Fed puts out the new
validation
interest
of your
rate, you
statement.
can tell me which board governor wrote the letter that says here's the new interest rate. You can tell me that, and if you don't, then it's not a fact. Come on.
Cuomo's arguing with the fucking wall right now. He's trying to nail Jello to a wall. Like these MAGA boomers just don't fucking get it.
This is a specious suggestion.
I don't believe it's a fact, but I could be wrong. But I'd
course
like
you could
to
be
know who in the State Department signed the letter, because
Doesn't
I'm not
matter.
aware of it.
Okay.
That
You're
makes
also not
sense?
aware that the president just said that the regime should be allowed to have missiles because you didn't hear it.
I didn't hear
And
it.
you're not sure about the fact that when he left is when they started enriching uranium to 60% because you didn't know it.
Bullshit. Bill O'Reilly didn't hear the fact that he's going to allow Iran to keep its missiles. That is a classic MAGA tactic. Oh, I didn't hear about it, so it didn't happen. Dude, you fucking heard about it. You're a liar.
So I guess these can't be true, Bill.
The timeline about enriching uranium, no one knows. No one's
that's
on
not
the
true.
record. No one does.
That's not true.
Who?
Here's the weird thing.
Wait,
the one thing that the
Who?
IAEA, okay, I'll give you who. That the IAEA, the IDF, and the regime in Iran all agree on one thing, okay? Which is, it wasn't until after Trump left and they imposed sanctions that Iran started to exceed their enrichment capacity in gross fashion.
Who
all
in the
three agree with that.
IAEA said that?
Grassi, Grassi.
On your
He's the head.
program?
No. Oh, so now if he doesn't say it on my show,
No, I just
it's
want to
not
know
good
where,
enough for you.
so I can find it.
Oh,
Because
here,
the
you see
guys
that? You
that
have one of
I
these?
had on
Do you have
didn't
one of
say
these?
we don't know because
Go
we can't
into
get
this.
in.
Go to Google and type in
Google
this.
again.
This is fucking insane.
Oh, Google's no good?
Listen,
Google's no
all
good.
I'm
Who do you want to
saying
believe?
is, this guy
Ask the president.
Grassi,
See what he says.
This guy Grassi, you're telling me, was allowed into Iran. The mullahs let him go in and evaluate their enrichment program. Is that what you're telling me?
Here's what I'm saying. One of the major flaws of the JCPOA was that they didn't have great access and their monitoring
no
equipment
access.
was messed with. No, they had access. They didn't have the access the way they wanted it.
They didn't have
and
any
believed
access.
that they did have access.
Who?
They didn't have the access they wanted, and they believe. Will you stop with this stupid
Yeah, I'm
level
sorry,
of
I'm trying to
scrutiny?
get to
Who? This
hard
Oh yeah,
facts.
because there's a guy named Scott Flannery, and he's from Massachusetts. He went in. Is it a fact now, Mr. O'Reilly? This is nonsense that you want to
Scott
play with this kind of
Flannery?
minutia to
Okay.
avoid the point.
I
Come
want
on,
to see
the
Scott.
point is this.
I'm going to try to get him
The
on my
point-
show, and
the
I
point
want
is
you to
this.
try to get him on your show.
You are filibustering because
I'm not
this is an
filibustering.
uncomfortable situation, and I understand that.
I'm asking
this
for
is an
backup,
exit.
Cuomo. That's how I'm not
this,
filibustering.
no, you're not. No, you are not.
I'm
this
asking
is an
you
exit.
to back up what you say. Because I don't
Everything
believe for
I've
a
just said is
second.
demonstrably true. You didn't even believe the president said that he's okay with them having missiles. He
I
just said it
I
on my
didn't
show.
hear
in a
it.
soundbite.
I didn't say I didn't believe it.
Well,
So
first you
just-
said,
no,
you said, I don't think he said it. Then I
misquoted
said he
me.
just said it, and then you said, oh, now you're misquoted. Come on, Bill. You know
just
Vic.
misquoted me.
Okay?
I didn't say I
did
didn't
not
believe it.
misquote
I
you.
said I didn't hear it, and everybody watching knows it. Anyway, look,
Oh, okay. You think that's their takeaway?
here's the takeaway that I, as an American
ahead.
citizen,
Please.
that this is Plan B. That it's the best thing for the United States because of the economic factor, which should have been evaluated by the Department of War, and doesn't seem to have been. Okay, but that should have been, when you war game, what's the downside? What's the unintended consequence? All of the Hormuz stuff, okay, should have been in that equation. So if we don't get them,
It was.
I never heard Hegseth say anything about that.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that jackass says, but what I'm telling you is that people who are involved in the strategy and planning and were stationed in Riyadh during the operations say that the Strait of Hormuz was always a variable they were aware of, and that the administration picked the priorities for the operations.
Okay, if you can get somebody from Riyadh on, I'd like to hear him say that.
What?
Look, Cuomo, you throw a lot of stuff out there that you would all day long on cable TV.
I know, and I'm proven to be wrong so often. My sourcing is so bad.
All right, get the guy from Riyadh tomorrow.
Bill, nobody has ever upset my reporting on anything. My sourcing in that administration is very strong. Okay. And I'll tell you what, I can play your game if you want. Find me someone at the Department of War who says they had no idea that the regime was going to do this with the Strait of Hormuz, and they never gamed it out. Find me that guy, and I'll give you 10 grand to any charity you want.
Okay. They may have discussed it, but they did not discuss it in public. We didn't know, we the American people.
I thought we weren't supposed to. You're not supposed to give it away, Bill. Why would you discuss strategy? Can't talk about your strategy in public. Can't talk about this. You give it to the enemy then.
Oh, now
that's
we're
why
being
they can't talk about it.
Is that what we're
Yes, because that's what you guys said when he didn't tell us anything about going to war.
I don't have guys.
You have a guy.
I have no guy. I try to get as precise analysis as I can get. If there's somebody in the Department of War who you know brought this out to the press, to you, to me, anybody, and said, you know, maybe we don't want to do this because it could impact the world economy, I'd like to hear from that person.
That's just, he's just trying to get into the weeds because he can't handle this conversation and this argument. Like this little bit, like, let's find this one person that said the one thing. Like, that's complete bullshit, dude. And it's a goalpost that doesn't need to exist, and it keeps on getting pushed further and further back. Bill O'Reilly, boomer.
I'm sure you would. I'll tell you what. I'll put you together with them in private because it's not worth having people lose their jobs. Oh, so that your buddy, Mr. Trump, can fire this person and several others along with him?
Do a little hood thing. Or
put him in a hood. What? Maybe a white one.
All right.
Anyway,
look.
Go ahead. I heard you have something that you want to promote.
White one.
Is that true?
I want to make one more statement about this because it's a very important story. You have a plan B in motion, okay? Plan A didn't work out the way that the Trump administration and Netanyahu wanted. The goal was noble, in my opinion. Get these guys, get them out of there, give the Persians some quality of life. So it didn't work. Not unusual, right? Happens all the time in conflict. But now, Plan B is in place. And Plan B is a more precise analysis than Plan A.
What the fuck is this, dude?
They're never going to be able to enrich this uranium. And if they do, I'm going to blow the hell out of the whole country. Okay. Are you willing to take him out on his word, Cuomo?
No.
No.
There you go. You're not willing to take him at his word. I am.
You're asking me for the specific name of people who put out documents before you'll believe what the Department of State did. But you just take the president at his word that he's going to blow up Iran if they start playing with uranium again.
Because it has
That's
to do
good
with,
enough for you.
It happens to do with his legacy. And if Iran were to cheat and that cheating be broken by the New York Times or somebody, all right, he's through. That's the difference. Now, Father's Day, and happy Father's Day to you. But
to you as well.
If I were your kid, I'd run away. But that's another thing. I did a long form. We call it We'll Do It Live with Leland Vittert. Okay? And he has a book on autism and how his father saved him.
Beautiful.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a really, really good use of everybody's time. So we break it tomorrow. YouTube has it, BillO'Reilly.com. Easy. Just go there, boom, boom, boom. And it'll make you cry.
Oh, yeah. That book made me cry.
Not you.
I wanted to hug his father. Oh, listen, I cried reading the book.
Okay.
What a beautiful story. The sacrifice of the father, how proud he is of what he built, and Leland obviously built within himself as well. It's an amazing story.
Sure.
All right, I got to go.
Okay. Just want everybody to consider watching that and demand from Cuomo that he produce all the guests. You'd have a week of shows if you bring in all the guests that I want to see.
I know. It's because it's not like the president would, would go on a vengeance tour against all my sources or anything like that. Bill O'Reilly, appreciate your perspective.
Okay.
Beautiful idea on Father's Day, highlighting Leland's story with his father. It's an amazing, amazing story.
That was a brutal conversation. Chris Cuomo he's trying to have a real conversation, and Bill O'Reilly went into this. He probably planned, I'm just going to be a fucking asshole. Because the points that Bill O'Reilly was trying to make Chris like hammer down was that they're all non sequiturs. Like none of that, what he was doing wasn't adding to the conversation at all. If anything, it was lessening the conversation. Like, first of all, like right in the beginning, Cuomo brings up the fact that, hey, you know, Trump just said that Iran could have ballistic missiles. And then O'Reilly is like, oh, I didn't hear that. Bro, he just said it. I just showed you the clip. He's like, well, you know, I'd have to know the context. Like, bro, he said that. That's what he said. So, like, we literally have the reality of the situation. It's written down, you know, we're going to give them $300 billion. They get to export oil. Like, we lost this war. And it looks like we are surrendering to Iran. That's the way it appears to everybody. And everybody that's calling balls and strikes is saying that. But Bill O'Reilly, like, his key in this media world is having access to Donald Trump. So if he speaks negatively about Trump in any way, he's going to lose that access. So he doesn't want to do that. But he also might also be, you know, ideologically on Trump's side. Like, it doesn't matter what Trump says. We got to own the libs. We got to kill brown people, all that shit. But yeah, just this Bill O'Reilly be like, bring that person on, bring this person on. I don't believe that story. I don't believe this story. He wasn't engaging with it all, what's going on with Iran. And his explanations for, you know, we had a plan A and that didn't work. Now we're doing plan B, but plan B is better than plan A. If plan B was better than plan A, you would have just planned that as plan A. That's complete bullshit. Chris Cuomo does a great job of calling out Bill O'Reilly on his bullshit. And as long as Trump's still president, we're going to keep on hearing absolute bullshit like this. We surrendered to Iran. We lost the war. Anybody else say anything different is completely full of shit. And fuck Bill O'Reilly. That guy's a MAGA boomer piece of shit. Get Trump's boots out of your mouth, dude. Thank you, Chris. Another great interview. And next time he does another great interview, I'll be sure to bring it to you guys. And if you guys want to see that video, like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.